You're on camera. Say something.
Last night and night before, there was 3 women walking down the street that way. I saw them. I said, hey, you 3 women, why are y'all walking down the street that way? There's nothing down there. And they flew away. I said, oh, them was some birds.
Be summoned by humans who are so far beneath it. Why can't humans be summoned by ants? The answer is they should be. Well, if a bunch of ants formed a circle in my house, I'd certainly notice. Try to figure out where they'd all come from and possibly wreak destruction there. That's why knowing and correctly pronouncing the true name is so important to the ritual. Imagine how impossible it would be to not go take a look if the circle of ants started chanting your name. And they're like, you can't leave because we drew a line made of tiny crystals. Now all you have to do us a favor. And you're like, well, let's just see where this goes. Yup, you got me. What's the favor? And usually the favor is like, kill this one ant for us, or give me a pile of sugar. And you're like, okay. And you do, because why not? It isn't hard for you, and boy is this going to be a fucking story to tell, these fucking ants chanting your name and wanting a spoonful of sugar or whatever. And sometimes you get asked for things you can't really do. One of them, she's like, I love this ant, but she won't pay any attention to me. Make me important to her. And you're like, how? So you just kill every ant in the colony except the 2 of them. Ta-da! Problem solved. And the first ant is like, horrified whisper, what have I done? This is the best explanation for higher powers I've ever really heard.
Idiot. Dollar store wigs and streaming media. Dude, you can hear the sound of hysteria. The subliminal mindfuck Castlevania. Hey, Addy got that fake anime glow, calling Dante daddy on a WE show. Thought you could flex with your edgelord brand, but you filmed that Power Ranger stuff in the sand. This ain't anime, it's corporate crime. Got more cringe than your Castlevania lines. Welcome to the sellout parade, where the devil don't cry, he just gets played. It's not stylish, it's just sad. Your cosplay looks like a Facebook dad. WWE had to shout it loud, 'cause nobody's watching in the anime crowd.
I was not very steeped in the comics.
I didn't read any comics or do any research.
I wasn't familiar with the comics. I wasn't familiar with the movies.
We didn't lean into a whole lot of the history of the comic books.
Yeah, candidly, we were not enormous comic fans.
I wasn't super into superhero comics when I was a kid. I read a lot of like indie press stuff.
First thing I was told is don't read the comics.
Really? As a creator, they put you in a bubble. They don't let you talk about any of the other projects, right?
You know, they're up for anything.
We ultimately decided to redefine it for the series and thought that it worked better for the story that we're trying to tell.
Did you ever read you've never read the comic?
When the DVD comes out, I'm going to read a Thor comic book and just see where we went wrong.
Could be Trump. Yeah. Trump. Oh yeah. Trump. 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 Could be Trump. Yeah. Trump. Oh yeah. Trump.
You piss off the Japanese.
Mess with their history, twist it for fun.
Watch as your prophets are now on the run.
Temples defaced, the backlash is loud.
Even the Prime Minister's part of the crowd.
Stockholders panic, they scream and they wail.
Ubisoft sinking, abandon the sail.
Oompa loompa, doopity-dong.
Say your goodbyes, cause your company's gone.
If you are wise, you won't play this game.
Or Japan will ban your name.
Engines are swarming, the damage is great.
Ubisoft begging, but now it's too late.
Paris is frantic, Montreal too.
Lawsuits are flying, investors will sue.
Panic is spreading, no one is spared.
Tokyo's empty, the office is bare.
Oompa loompa, doompity-dong.
What made you think this would not go all wrong?
If you are wise, you won't take the piss.
Or your stocks go down
like this.
Ubisoft dreams turn into despair.
Job listings vanish into thin air.
Nothing to sell and nothing to buy.
Too bad you offended the samurai. Oompa loompa, doompity-dee.
Next time be careful with history.
You might have been saved with a little more thought.
Now look at the mess you've wrought.
Doesn't feel the same.
I sat down to rewatch that Archer in green, but something felt off like a scene swept clean. No call to rise up, no fight against the crown, just some hollow action and glossed up renown.
He once spoke fire about kings and chains. Now it's gone like it never came. He used to say no king.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
What's been deleted now? What's been deleted now? Why does it feel so tame? The rebel's voice is down, erased without a name. What's been deleted now? Did someone shift the frame? They say it's just a cut, but it don't feel the same.
I searched for the speech where he vowed to stand against all the tyrants and take back the land. But streamers go quiet and edits slip through. Sanitized history, now nothing feels true.
Where's the fight that once burned bright? Did they mute the truth that night? I swear he used to roar.
Now he just ducks the war.
Now he just ducks the war.
What's been deleted now? What's been deleted now? Is fiction still our own? If stories lose their teeth, what's left but empty tone?
Mama, we must run. The Wendigo Yakuza are here.
We'll be okay. We're not alone.
Where did we park the van?
Cider took it to deliver those flowers.
You all don't stand a chance.
Underneath the moon's cold light, whispers linger in the night. Shadows dance with subtle grace. Secrets hide in every space. Velvet skies and sapphire dreams. Cities pulse, electric beams. Lonely hearts in shadowed bars. Fading tales beneath the stars. We dance in twilight's tender glow, where time moves soft and slow. Eyes meet in a silent song, in
Hi, it's me. I wear a jacket now. This is pretty interesting. Here to help me discuss this is the lovely Miss Nerdigans.
Oh my god, why do you have this scripter up here?
Oh, because it's funny. Look, watch what happens to him. So this person, Evan Loves Worf, obviously a very, grounded person, says, it's insane how many right-wing Dragon Ball fans there are, but can you imagine Goku hating immigrants or trans people? And my favorite reply right here is from Manlet Thorn. It says, Goku would literally rather die than let his own brother immigrate to Earth. It's absolutely perfect right there.
Oh my
10
god!
out of 10. Perfect.
I mean, does he not remember what happened in Nappa?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how does Goku handle illegal immigrants, guys? How does
Or
Goku every
Frieza!
time, right? This would also mean that Piccolo is ice. He's Tom Homan. Piccolo is anime Tom Homan. Yeah, I'm going to do that with AI. You bet I'm going to do it.
Oh my god.
You wait, I'll get a minute here to do the show and I'll put that together. I'll make Tom Homan into Piccolo.
Oh god. Or Kami.
But I
You
thought-
could make Kami into that too, because remember Kami
Yep.
was that.
And that's
Popo. Oh, if you make Popo into ice, I will lose my mind.
Sure, we'll give him like a little ice hat, a little rifle,
Like, I'm talking about Team 4-star Popo.
Yes. Yes, that's the point. That's why he
Yes.
has the rifle. I didn't
Yes.
say anime Tom Homan had a gun now, did I? But yeah, this got me because it's like a proper dunk, a proper beautiful dunk on an otherwise very full of themselves person down here. And it's this old thing, like fictional character agrees with my politics, not yours. And if he was real, he would beat you up because you don't believe what I believe. It's like, I can't find it right now.
Cider, we see this stuff. If you're in the anime community, we see this stuff all the time. You see this stuff like on anime Reddit. You see this on our anime circle jerk. You see this on like really dumb parts of anime Twitter, where they will say like this specific character supports trans rights, or like this is a great one. Remember when the whole thing went down with the actor who plays Luffy in the One Piece live action, when that went down, when he was doing the stuff for McDonald's, and people were saying Luffy supports Palestine and all that. Oh my god, that was just so dumb. And then you have the whole thing with I think it was Hassan that said that that Luffy is what was it? That Luffy was like a communist or something, and I'm just like,
Brazil would like a word with you.
yeah.
Try that. Try saying that Brazil's patron saint Luffy. Okay? Try saying that he's a communist. See how fast you can run, Hassan. Okay? See if you're faster than Brazilians. But this is that old meme, and I love it because anytime that stuff happens where character X would have my politics, I always post. I made a different one where it's Sonic wearing a MAGA hat and he's giving a thumbs up, but he's like in like this. It's like Sonic. It's the one where he has the scarf, the
Yeah.
neckerchief, and he's got the MAGA hat on because of the scarf of the red, and it says at the bottom, the caption is "Eggman rigged the election." And I post that every time they go off about character that would be having my politics. That Sonic would totally be voting for Trump. Sonic would totally be voting for Biden or Kamala. No, he eats chili dogs. He kisses Final Fantasy girls. That's what he does. Okay, that's
God,
Sonic. He does not vote in our elections. Surprise.
It just makes me think of like when people try to use the color palettes of characters to claim that certain character is trans, and then you see like other people use other characters to like be like, okay, then by your logic, this character is a Nazi because they have.
If you're green, you're black. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a very annoying thing that they do as well. Because again, everything has to be color coded now. It's not just like, oh hey, by the way, this is a character. He's a blue hedgehog. We have to dive into the racist identity of Sonic the Hedgehog now. It's terrible.
Oh yeah, and you can't be a cross-dresser anymore. You're automatically transcoded because boys can't cross-dress anymore, or girls
Death of
can't.
the tomboy.
You can't be a tomboy anymore. It's
Right.
so even though in the case of most recent incident is with Tsubaki Windbreaker, even though the author specifically said in an interview that he is a feminine guy that cross-dresses, no, he is transcoded to people. And I'm just like, he's not trans.
It's painful, isn't it? It's painful. It literally causes you mental anguish. Like Lewis, I think it's Lewis Black, right? He's the guy that there's like all the time, right? That's Lewis Black, right? That was the comedian, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he talks about overhearing a woman saying, had it not been for the horse, I would have never have gone to medical school and got my degree in nursing. And he said, I almost had an aneurysm overhearing this conversation this woman was having. What do you mean, a horse? You know, he goes into that. And what you just expressed to me is that kind of like mental gymnastics stuff that you know, people have to put themselves through to justify what's going on. I tell people all the time, and I choose these two icons because of how plastic they are, not because they are representative, but they are very plastic. And so you have men and women have become monoliths. They're not hedges or trees or branches anymore. They're monoliths. And if you're not Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, you're not a man. If you're not Beyonce, you're not a woman. And it's that black and white now. It's that black and white now. You drift outside of those and, oh, you're non-binary. You're transgender. You're this. You're an attack helicopter. It just goes on and on and on, because if you don't fit into that, you have to be defined as something entirely different now. You can't be a woman if you're not Beyonce. You have to be something else.
I just think it's funny because remember, what was it, like 10 years ago or something, or even like 20 years ago, you had all these feminists all pissy about like gender roles and all that. And now it's like there's this regression back into gender roles, but like I think it's even worse than it was like 20, maybe even 30 years ago. I mean, growing up, like for me, okay, growing up, my parents, maybe it's because both my parents are more like, my mom's moderate Democrat and my dad is liberal. My brother and I got like whatever we wanted. So I got a super soaker. I got to play with whatever I wanted. And my brother liked guy stuff anyway. So I had Barbies and super soakers and all that. And like now it's just like I feel like everyone's being like forced into as you said, forced into this box. Whereas like 20 or 30 years ago, you could just do whatever and not be forced into anything. You could just choose what you wanted to play with or what you wanted to wear.
I've remarked before on this channel that 12-year-old children do not look like 12-year-old children anymore. They are dressing like their college peers, and it was like
that 20 years ago.
Well, I guess not on my side of the seaboard. We were still running around in t-shirts that were oversized for us into our teenager years. It didn't leak up here. The hip huggers didn't arrive until late middle school for us up here. The slack jeans down below your waist didn't arrive until
I wore them. I wore them when I was like 13. I wore a tube top when I was like, what I would say when I was like 13 or 14, I owned a tube top. I mean, I would say this, this was back in like 2002, 2003. I remember, oh God, this is how old I am. At Limited 2, yes, Limited 2 existed at the time. There was like skink clothes, way skinkier clothes there at the time. You had like tube tops that were like basically bras, like strapless bras.
What was the name
and
of
like
this
mini
group?
skirts. It was called, the store was called Limited 2, and it eventually became Justice. That's what the store was called. That was like, if you grew up like in 2002, 2003 and went to the mall, you know exactly what store I'm talking about. And if you're a girl, you especially know what I'm talking about. But yeah,
This
you
one?
got like, yes, that's the store.
With the cage included.
Yes. That's the cage included.
Limited to this space only. You're not allowed to leave.
God, it's so nostalgic. That's so nostalgic to see that
Especially
store.
with the cage. I
Well,
remember
not
being
with the
locked
cage.
in.
No, like I used to get some of my clothes from there. I used to get like the tube top I got. My first tube top I got was like a store that's I think that's completely gone now. Is Charlotte Russe. Yeah, I used
Oh.
before my Hot Topic phase, I was an extremely girly. I was very much a girly girl. And then I got into and then when I hit high school, that's when I got into my alternative phase because I was rebelling. I was
Oh.
very rebellious.
With tube tops and all.
Well, Tube Top was more. It was purple, so like it was more. That's what I'm like. That was more girly girl. But nah, I was like wearing all black. I was just like I just was very much. I was going through a lot at the time. So yeah, let's just go with that. But yeah, I was very much rebelling against the world at the time. But yeah, that's very very girly.
You don't say. The
Yes,
giant
very very
glowing
girly.
flower on the ceiling didn't give it away, or the hot pink stylings on the wall.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. I thought I'd run into a GI Joe display any second now.
You really don't see that stuff anymore.
Of course not. They can't do that. They can't pitch that hard to one angle anymore because they've got to appeal to a massive audience, which ends up making everything look like a Big Mac. It doesn't
Well,
have
like-
any distinct personality anymore.
Well, Saga, we've talked about Monster High before. I feel like it's like the complete opposite now, where it's gone from like where you could be like an edgy, like gothic kind of thing, alternative kind of thing, and now it's like the complete opposite, where it's more girly and bright. You can't be like alternative anymore. It's weird how things have changed.
Absolutely. But, time marches on in all different strange directions. And speaking of that, I do have, I don't know if it's a sad news because I never liked this service, but Skype, after 22 years, left this earth on May the 5th. That's right. May the 5th be with you.
I have I have a good memory with Skype. Actually, because of Skype, I was on, for those of you that don't know, this was like, I want to say almost 10 years ago. I was on NFL Network for a show called Fantasy and Friends. And I talked to the NFL Network producer through Skype at the time. So Skype has a small place in my heart because of that.
But weren't they doing like that Request Live revival with MTV through Skype?
I don't remember. I think so, actually.
Something like that. There was some MTV show where you called in live on Skype. I remember them having a partnership with MTV. That was a big deal because everyone was like, wow, the internet can do more than internet stuff now. Wow. So, yeah, I'm indifferent to Skype. I never used it either. I went from AOL to Yahoo Messenger to browser-based, text-based chat. I didn't get into the whole see me on camera thing until streaming showed up. So that's
I went the AIM to Yahoo. I did AIM, Yahoo Chat. I don't think I ever did MSN Chat.
Yeah, MSN was like 50-50 on if you'd get abducted. That one was really, if you got on there somehow, that was like extra groomery. I don't know how that happened, but MSN definitely was like 50-50 getting abducted.
Yeah, Yahoo Chat, it was fun.
We may have run into each other. I was on there for quite a long time, and the thing is that like it had no limits. So like you'd be like in the middle of something, and then somebody who's like 45 years old walks into a group of 12-year-olds. You're having a conversation, and two people who are fighting each other through like 7 different rooms. Do you remember T1 and T2? Do you remember those fighting styles? We had to be typing faster. Did you connect seals wins? You remember that?
Oh yeah. I remember that. That was really fun. And like,
that was so ridiculous. We
It was
couldn't
so
roll
dumb.
dice. There was no random number generator thing on the internet that 12-year-olds knew about. So the best solution we could come with is that if we wanted to fight each other over the internet using text, right? Like I punch you in the face. The only way to prove the legitimacy of that hit connecting was typing faster than the other guy saying it hit you, you dumbass, it hit you.
You know where we did that? We did that in the Harry Potter chat room.
Yeah, exactly. I was in the Dragon Ball Z rooms, the Harry Potter rooms, Tenchi Muyo rooms, and Metabot rooms. And I just loved all that. Like, I could just go anywhere and be like, I'm a guy that's in this anime now. I loved it.
Those were so much fun. Like, and the majority of people in there were like, what, under 20?
Yeah, did you ever get, like, internet married?
No, I don't think I got
Oh,
internet
wow, that's weird. Okay, now I feel awkward. I had plenty of internet marriages because, like, when you're role playing and you meet a lady or supposedly a lady, let's put it that way. My 12-year-old brain did not realize that people might lie on the internet. Who would do such a thing?
I got into a relationship with someone via Yahoo chat, but I didn't get internet married.
Oh, no, that was the role play chat thing. You could,
But like, it was fun. It wasn't dangerous like it is now, and you didn't have to deal with sex bots or anything like that. Like, they didn't ruin shit until what, like 2001 or 2002?
I don't know, to tell you the truth. I don't.
I feel old.
The Wayback Machine in my mind doesn't really have a place for when that ended. At some point they put parental controls on the Yahoo chats, and that just kind of killed off everybody's instant messenger. Facebook, of course, and MySpace came along that had their browser-based messengers, and that kind of eliminated the reason for having
That wasn't fun either. Like, MySpace, Facebook, I tried Facebook chat before, and that wasn't fun. MySpace, I was just like, whatever at the time, because I had other things I wanted to do. And
I learned HTML to customize my MySpace page.
Like, I barely use MySpace. Like, on Facebook, I joined Facebook because my friends at the time were on Facebook, and they were just like, join Facebook. I was like, okay. And I just chatted with my friends on Facebook, and like, I did stuff with them. And then my boyfriend at the time, my late boyfriend, Brian, he was like, dude, join Twitter, trust me, you'll want to do it. And I was like, I don't know.
Nerdigans, I'm about to punch you right in the nostalgics.
What?
There you go. Oh
my god.
Oh, I have seen this a million times. Wow. Takes you back, doesn't it? Holy crap.
I feel so old.
Exactly. Like, I always wondered what it was like for my mother to like look back on like the Beatles and on back on like the 70s and see muscle cars at like car shows. My father seeing like antique telephones, because that was the big thing when he came up, was cars were becoming a thing. He was born in 1929. So like cars being a thing and phones being a thing. So like he'd see these antique things and he'd get nostalgic. Now I understand. This is an antique, Nerdigans. This is over 20 years old now.
I mean, Nokia phones are an antique too, if you think about it.
No, they are. They're on display. Some museum has a Dreamcast on display as a historical artifact.
Now I feel, oh god, I feel old. I'm turning 36 at the end of this month, so that makes you just think about it. That just makes you feel even older.
Zeno's like, don't say it out loud.
Kitty, I have to say it.
Wow. Like, you remember you go to these and that they'd have like a whole playlist waiting to assault you at maximum volume when you went to their profile.
Oh yes, I remember that.
And it would always be hidden in like the traffic accident of a layout that they had for their MySpace. You could never find where the damn music was coming from.
Oh, that was so annoying.
Oh yeah. Wow. What a time. What a time to be alive.
You know what's crazier is that, like, I never thought this would ever be the case, is that my dad, especially I think even my mom too, but I think more so my dad is more like tech literate than I am. Like, I never thought that would happen.
Many such cases.
It's crazy. Like, my dad, my dad is obsessed with iPhone. He's been like on Apple for the longest time. And then my mom and my stepdad are on like the latest like Samsung Galaxies, and they have the tablets and stuff like that. Me, I'm not. I have like an older Samsung Galaxy. I just got like not too long ago a Samsung Galaxy, my first Samsung Galaxy. And then my computer is like an old Lenovo ThinkPad, which I'm actually happy about, to be honest, because I like the ThinkPads. They're easier to fix. So I'm not mad at that.
Everyone is on MySpace. Last login 8/27/2006.
Oh my god. I think around that time I think I was coming back from Oregon. I was already back from Oregon.
All of the people in this picture now have male pattern baldness and are likely nearing AARP age. Yeah.
God, I just why?
Yeah,
Why do you have to
hella old. Yeah,
hella old?
feeling those wrinkles for sure. But now that we've had a detour down memory lane, I do want to take a brief step over here to uh, Bella Ramsey and her magnificent facial expressions. Uh, it's going around here. The Last of Us 2. I just want to get this one out of the way because it's just a brief one. Last of Us Part 2 is having a great time. Everything's very awful. The famous quote, "I'm going to be a dad soon," came out of this person right here, and of course this face. This face has not been edited. To my knowledge, this is a screenshot 1-to-1 from the show, and somehow she managed to make that face. It could be exaggerated. I'm not exactly sure, but it is
This
a
was
winner.
a horrible miscast. I do not for the people that are defending this casting. Why?
That's not Ellie.
That's not her. That's not
So
her.
I gave it to AI, and it did this, transformed her into a different person, and made up all of that on its own. So that was fun. Then it added sound effects, and I won't play those for you. I'll post that over on X. You'll have to go check it out.
That
But
looks more like her than that looks more
yeah,
like
doesn't
Ellie.
it? A little bit. It at least looked like Latina Ellie, you know?
But like, oh god, what was I gonna
It's
say?
funny. It's like it's Bella Ramsey, Bella Ramsey, Bella Ramsey, Bella Ramsey, and by the power of gun, Latina.
Like the girl, but the girl who plays Abby looks more like Ellie than she does. That's the thing that gets me.
This is really creepy. You see this? Like
Yeah.
Bella Ramsey's face is in front of the light, not her head. So it's like up underneath here, and then by the power of gun, Latina. It's amazing. Yeah, you're welcome for that. She transforms into Ocasio-Cortez. There you go. Fighting her way out of Capitol Hill during some, I don't know, popcorn candy cane riot. Because why not? That'll be the next thing, right? The Candy Kingdom from what is that? What is that? Candyland video game. They'll be invading the Capitol soon to stop Trump. You bet. But speaking of Trump, we do have the tariffs to talk about, as promised. Over in Japan, those folks are bracing for impact, getting a little bit concerned about President Trump's promise to put 100% tariffs on foreign produced films, which you and I both know is either, if it does come to fruition, is going to expand to all media coming from foreign lands.
It's not going to happen. If it does happen, based on the research I did, because I was trying to figure out like what the constitutionality of it is, because I knew that there's no way that he would have authority, a president would have authority over this. And based on what I saw on online, that unless it is a national security threat, Congress only has the authority to implement tariffs. And there has to be like a thorough investigation and everything. And the only thing that I could think of that could be maybe justified is like tariffs on China because of the CCP. But that's like really very much a stretch, because I don't know the full extent of what's going on with trade in China. I don't know how much of a national security threat that it is. I don't know. But what Trump is trying to do with the entertainment industry, I'm sorry, that is not justified. It is not. That is going, if he does try to go through with it, it is going to get thrown out. It will get thrown out by the courts.
Well, and this is the distinction to draw here is that in the long run, I'm not sure that products from Japan will be affected by this. Again, President Trump hasn't even put this into writing. He stepped out of a helicopter, I think, or a limo, one or the other, some one of the president's mode of transportation, and the press were there to greet him, and he just simply slipped out a sentence and a half about applying a 100% tariff on foreign produced media because these countries were incentivizing our studios to abandon America. Now, I don't care if they leave because again, Americans are uniquely capable of filling a gap. That's kind of how our capitalist society works. Is it's creative destruction. So somebody takes their foot off the pedal for an instant, there's another guy willing to overtake him right there. So that's just how it works around here. So if they give up, Georgia's right there already. Wahlberg and Mel Gibson are working on Nevada's version of Hollywood. You know, so if it ends up going the way of the dodo, there's already two front runners to take over. And Vancouver has been swallowing Hollywood whole lately, so it might as well just creep up the coast. But these tariffs, from what I understand, are going to be more applied for American companies that are exploiting labor. It could kick over into more media, like I was saying in the lead up to this, that it could kick over to more media like anime. Right now, it's focused on films. And to me, that speaks to how one of the things you don't hear about in the strikes, right, with these CGI animators, the people that made She-Hulk's butt cheeks. You don't hear from them that they're telling you that Pakistani workers and Indian workers will be able to undercut their labor rates by almost $100,000. So these studios are, of course, incentivized to move the production, either the whole thing or at least the heavy lifting, boring parts, over to these studios overseas that, of course, can produce it much cheaper. And so these tariffs are aimed to punish that activity. Pixar and DreamWorks are known for exporting their labor. Now, do I think that that's wise? I can't tell because on the other side of this, countries like the UK incentivize our Hollywood studios to move over there. They give them subsidies. They apply all sorts of tax breaks to them. They out and out pay for them to move over. And so what do? You know, this is sort of like the impasse that we're at. And my hope is that the application of this is entirely meant to punish Hollywood's abuse and to leave the rest of the world to figure itself out, that these tariffs are more as opposed to exterior, if you will.
But the thing is, and I can't emphasize this enough, it doesn't solve one of the bigger problems that, like, say, California or New York or even what you were talking about prior to going live with Maine. The main problem, main problem that is driving a lot of these studios away is the high taxes and regulations that are happening. It is stifling them. It's stifling businesses in general. And in the case of California, which I live here, so I know this for a fact, is that our idiot politicians here are stupid and they don't realize, or if they do, they just are being stubborn and refuse to just cut the taxes and regulations. They think tax breaks and they think incentives and all that are enough. They're not enough to keep them here. It's not going to be enough. They need to just cut the crap, just cut the regulations, just cut the taxes, make it a business-friendly state. California used to be very business-friendly, but because of the stupidity that's happening here, it's almost impossible to even start a business here right now. That's why, like, say, if people start a business, they will have their business license based in Delaware and then run their business in California because Delaware is a lot more business friendly. But in the case of the studios, it's just because of the idiots running my state, they've made it almost impossible to get anything done here. And the unions don't make it even any easier either. They don't. SAG-AFTRA is just a freaking mob. They are the mafia. And ironically, that's how unions started. They started as mobsters. And there's basically SAG-AFTRA is staying true to their origins. And you know what? Let's go with the voice actors for a second here, because what's happening with the voice actors is a lot of productions are going elsewhere. They are hiring non-union and some of them are in Canada because it's cheaper, and they're not just that. It's less of a pain in the ass to deal with. I think what will happen is if SAG-AFTRA loses power, I think it will definitely help a lot.
Well, the thing that I explained about Maine was that before we went live here is that Maine has such astronomical taxes, licensing, and hoops to jump through just to film here that do you remember that show Murder She Wrote about
Yeah.
Cabot Cove, Maine? No, that was filmed in Rhode Island. Nearly all of Stephen King's movies, I think Pet Sematary and a couple other ones, but all of the other Stephen King movies, not a single frame of it was filmed in Maine. It's because it's just too expensive. It's just too expensive to film here. And that's a big problem these tariffs aren't going to solve. It's going to create this very narrow space where these Hollywood companies are able to work because they won't be able to make money overseas anymore exploiting those loopholes. And the states are going to want all outdoors now that they know that they're trapped. And Maine's not going to lighten up on the licensing now. These tariffs go into place. They're going to say, we've got ya. And again, California traps these film studios to what, like 50 miles outside of Los Angeles, and that's their only
Which really
tax-free
stinks.
space.
Which really stinks. And which really stinks because California has so much rural land. Like the majority of California, despite what you see in the movies, is rural. It's only there's like maybe it's like LA and like a good chunk of Southern California and like the Bay Area is urban, and then the rest of California is rural. They could shoot a lot of movies there.
And they did. They used to.
They used to. Hell, they did. They used to. But because of our government, because of bribes bribes are illegal in my state because our government is that corrupt. Unfortunately, the Republicans,
it's like China.
Yeah, my state's Republicans have tried to make it illegal, but because they are a minority and the Democrat mafia is a majority, they get outvoted. I am dead serious. They've tried it twice, and it's very, very frustrating.
Cascadia is coming. You remember you've heard of Cascadia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the state that combines like Idaho, Oregon, Washington, the backside of California with the north part of Nevada. So
it won't happen.
Well,
it won't because you know why? Here's why. Because Californians have already recalled a good chunk of the politicians. They're gonna just keep recalling them, and because Californians are sick of this, and we've already recalled a good chunk of them. Because unlike a good chunk or the majority of the country, we do have the power to recall. So, and also if you saw the election results, a good chunk of California is turning purple. So it's not used to be very blue, but it's really turning purple. So
you'll have a new big brother, Alberta. Alberta's apparently wishing to join. And the reason why I bring this up in relation to tariffs is that Alberta is one of the largest producers in Canada, much like how Japan is one of the largest producers of media that exports to the US anyway. One of them, not the one. But what I want to get at is that like Alberta's saying, hey man, we're going to have a really, really hard time defeating these tariffs in order to continue doing business as we are. Being that Alberta is the backbone of Canada, that means that if they leave, there's going to be a lot of trouble for Canada's economy and a lot of boost coming into the US. So those folks that are recalling in California are going to have a new big brother in the state to do business with, in the states rather, to do business with, that's right in their backyard in order to defeat these tariffs. That is not to say that Japan is going to annex itself into the US's menagerie, okay? But what it means is that Japan is most likely going to be exploiting different routes around these tariffs, probably different deals. They did just buy up $1 trillion worth of our debt, and you'd expect these people to be a bit more rewarded for that than BT Dubs. Everything you export to this country is going to get hit with 100% tariffs. Bye. It's a bit much.
But one of the things that I found on Japanese Twitter that I thought was an interesting point is that if tariffs were to be imposed, unless the filming, editing, distribution, special effects, CG, and other processes were completed within the United States, wouldn't it become impossible to make movies properly? Won't that destroy not only Hollywood, but various other film industries?
Yes. Yes, it would. This would if you were to take this to like its most immediate knee-jerk reaction, it would entail Japanese studios relocating to the US to create. in order to maximize the market, because Toei came out and said, and it's another one, it's not Bandai, but another B one that came out and said that they've got to go over and start exploiting the domestic market. Well, the United States is $39 trillion GDP. The next one below us is China at only $19 trillion GDP. There is no contest. China's got a bigger pool of people to pitch to. Americans pay more per product. There's no contest. So what this means is that these people are speculating that in order to defeat this, like Toei, Kodansha, Sony Group would have to relocate those studios like KyoAni to California, to Oregon, to Colorado, things like that in order to defeat these tariffs. And no, like I said earlier, I honestly don't believe they'll be applied in that manner. This is meant to stop Hollywood from exploiting slave labor. Because Trump made no mention of, like, in his address on truth.com about this. I have it over here. Just take me a second to dig it up. But in his address,
before you pick it up, I do want to mention what a former TMS Entertainment anime producer said. So this is what Toshiyuki Kodade said, because I think it's very important to understand.
Is this in the thread?
Not in the thread. This is a separate
okay,
tweet. Yeah. He said if anime is also included in the tax, it will be a huge blow, because currently over 50% of the anime industry market is overseas.
Yeah,
and I don't like. Keep in mind with overseas, I gotta wonder if it's not just the U.S., but like if it's including Europe and Canada and Latin America as well, because that in Australia, because when I've seen overseas, like from other Japanese creators, that's what they're usually referring to anywhere outside of Japan. That's what overseas usually means. So I'm not sure if that's what if he's just referring to the U.S. or just overseas in general. I'm leaning more towards the latter, but I could be wrong.
So this was his address about it. He says, the movie industry in America is dying. It's terrible, folks. It's terrible. The dying rate in front of us. It's a very fast death, ask anybody. Other countries are offering all sorts of incentives to draw our filmmakers, and I'm turning into Kennedy. I got to stop. To draw our filmmakers and studios away from the U.S. Hollywood and other areas within the USA are also included in this, are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and therefore a national security threat. It depends. Like what? That's hard.
I don't agree.
It's hard. That's difficult.
I don't agree.
Yeah, that's quite a leap. That one right there is a bit of a leap. Now you have to ask yourself, like, what does he know about Hollywood that makes him say that? Because again, he's got to prove it at some point.
No, in order for these to go into effect, because this is what it says in the law for for his authority, he has to provide sufficient evidence. There has to be a thorough investigation for him to have authority to implement these tariffs. Otherwise, it goes to Congress, and Congress will not do that at all.
Not at 100% anyway. You might be able to get them at 10, but not 100.
No way. But like, as I said, I think the only one that you can maybe make an argument for is China, maybe because of the whole thing with the CCP, because the CCP doing really shady shit. So that's the only one I can maybe think of. So I don't know.
Yeah, again, like you got to be careful with what's coming out of some other countries too, but it's not anything
like Russia.
But we're not. Again, it's nothing to be like applying 100% tariff unilaterally on. You can target those nations like he has with the Chinese tariffs that don't affect Zimbabwe. They're only affecting China. Again, so this is such a widespread thing. It just doesn't make a lot of sense that it's not meant to punish Hollywood alone, that it's targeted at anything else other than making sure that these people can't do that. But he doesn't say that. That's the dumbest thing about this. He's like, it's a national security threat. Exactly. One thing I want to appreciate, though, like we got to appreciate it's subtle. It's quick. It didn't take long enough. He should have stayed on it long enough, but he does go mask off with him. He's like, haha, Scooby-Doo mask off. He says, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. So he's admitting full on that Hollywood's function is messaging and propaganda. It's not there to entertain you, baby. It's there to make sure you vote right.
Well, see, this is where. Well, this is where like I bring the CCP into this. Like, if there's enough evidence to where there's CCP propaganda in certain things, that's where I'm like, okay, you can make that argument that that is a national security threat, and that's where you could put tariffs on, like, say, Chinese movies or something like that, or Russian movies. Like, those are, I'm like, okay, that's a national security threat. You could put tariffs on that. But the rest of Hollywood movies and stuff like that, no, there's no reason for that. Or even Qatar as well. That's another example. But other than that, there's no reason. Besides those three, and that does, I should say four, because of Iran as well. But other than that, I wouldn't say this is a national security threat.
No, it's an extreme reach to apply it unilaterally to everybody and their brother. It's an extreme reach to do that, to try and qualify it that way. Again, he's trying to claim that if we lose Hollywood, we lose messaging and propaganda, and that's a national security threat. I don't know if you want to say that part out loud. You know, I don't know if you want the world to know that Hollywood is the brain drain that's been controlling Americans, and if we let it slip, we don't have control of Americans anymore. I don't really know if you want to. I don't know if you're ready to let that cat out of the bag. It was quick. It was like that parachute ripcord thing. It was quick. If you're not looking, you miss it. And he goes on to explain who's authorized to do this, but he says it's going to be a 100% tariff on any and all movies. Okay, so this excludes your episodic animes. I don't know about OVA. I can't tell you about that one. I said animes like an old man. I hope you appreciated that. It was quick. But it excludes those. Rather, it excludes, like, of course, your regular old one shot kind of. Maybe they're a movie, maybe I don't think they are, but this mainly focuses on the movies. So things that are coming through
Like
that would be.
Godzilla.
If you wanted to apply it to the import market, it would be that, and then that other one that was with the people living in the walls of the Korean house,
Yeah.
Intruders or something like that, or no, it was Parasite, I think is what it was called, and it would apply to that one, and things like that would be 100%. Oh, Spencer's here. Hi,
What
Spencer.
up? What's going on?
We're talking about the
just
tariffs, or the proposed
how-
tariffs.
Yeah,
The
no,
up
I've
and
been
down,
following.
left and right saga of this single truth post. It's
Of
quite a
the,
roller
like,
coaster.
Which is like, okay, I want to save everybody some brain cells here, because Cider, Nerdigans, you guys are trying way too hard to find meaning in nothing. This isn't a real thing. I think, like, I don't want to get too political, but since we're talking about specifically a political, like, element, Trump is not a smart man right now, okay? He is a doddering old fool who watches movies on TV and says, let's reopen a museum as a jail, right? He's not, all of this stuff he says, there is nothing behind it. So when he says we're tariffing movies, he doesn't know what that means. Nobody knows what that means. We don't know if that means, are we tariffing any production that uses any labor, like, out anywhere not in the US? So if I, reach out to a consultant in Japan because I'm making a Japanese thing, does that mean I get tariffed now? He doesn't know. He's just saying shit. Like that's what I really want to hammer home, obviously politically, but also here in this specific topic. He doesn't know what he means. He doesn't know what he wants. What he sees here is, oh, other countries are making movies that people like. How do we force people to watch, American movies? Block others from coming in. Who was it in here? It was either Susanu or Richard asked a second ago. If this isn't a way that helps bring the movie industry back, what is? Well, it's not banning competition. It's not saying, oh, none of you guys can do any work with us, because A, that's economic suicide for us too.
Yep.
But B, that doesn't change the fact, again, like, here, let's roll this out to its, like, logical conclusion, right? No foreign films, period. So what are we getting? We're getting Disney live action remakes and Marvel, and that's all we're getting, because that's all America's doing. You can't force a quality change outside of, not spending your money or whatever. The only way the American film industry revives itself is by making good movies, by focusing on, plot and not just overt marketing. Like, how do I frame this? Thunderbolts. So Thunderbolts, for all intents and purposes, I saw it. I actually had a lot of fun watching it. From what I'm seeing, a lot of people are watching it. It got such good word of mouth that I just read a news post before I jumped on that it posted a 48% jump between Monday and Tuesday, which is the biggest jump that a Marvel movie has ever seen for like that intra week showing or whatever. So good movie. People are enjoying it. It's obviously getting word of mouth. It took them 2 days to, like, the movie came out on Friday. Saturday, like, evening, they started doing the like replacing all the posters with New Avengers, right? Which is like, okay, you guys didn't even let that sit, but all right, sure, why not? Today, like a few hours ago, they replaced there was in LA, for my California people, you'll know there's if you're driving down the 405 in LA, there is a giant like parking structure that has often like giant movie ads on it or whatever. So they had Thunderbolts up, they replaced it with New Avengers, and then today they replaced it with well, not replaced it, but they put a graphic of like Stitch over it, so he's like ripping apart the poster of New Avengers. And it's like, this is sort of what I'm saying, right? It's like, you guys aren't focused on making a good story or entertaining us or whatever. You're going, consume our slop, consume our slop, consume our slop, consume our slop. Because any smart person would go, oh shit, people like Thunderbolts? Well, okay, maybe we scale back the New Avengers public reveal. Maybe we don't do the Stitch thing, but they don't. They just, again, it's that whole thing I always rail against, which is everything is about line go up. So kicking other people out of the industry is only going to be bad for us, because we're just going to have to deal with 900 what was that Netflix movie, the Christmas one, Red One, right? Like, we're just going to get 700 Red Ones, and I don't think anybody really wants that.
So that I'm not going to get into John Voight's proposal because it's long-winded and does a lot of reminiscing over stuff that we weren't alive for.
Yeah.
So John Voight's proposal doesn't inspire a lot of confidence in me. It speaks about Hollywood as an industry for America that Richard pointed out. It's like a critical infrastructure for America. It really makes Hollywood seem like it's the auto industry or the steel industry or lumber or like sewer workers making sure your damn toilets don't back up and flood your house full of dookie.
Or like, your air traffic controllers or your like train engineers or whatever.
when it's just that weird Megan girl from Transformers drinking her boyfriend's blood and talking about it on camera, trying to seem like a badass to somebody somewhere. And that's that it's really, like I was explaining before, if they end up destroying Hollywood, there's already Nevada Hollywood that's underway. There's already Georgia Hollywood that's underway.
Oh, Georgia for sure.
And
Canada,
Texas
the
Hollywood
Toronto.
is like bubbling up like a lava and underneath the volcano.
Okay, hold on. Cider, on that Texas note, do you remember like a couple years ago, like Matthew McConaughey and a couple other actors were like, let's bring film to Texas? It wasn't even like a political thing, like, fuck Trump or Newsom or anything. It was just like, let's revive the industry. Do you know if anything ever actually came of that? I know they were really gung-ho for like a month.
I suspected that Ripa's contacts were directly tied to like Glenn Beck's revival of Hollywood angle that he was working through Mercury Studios there for a few years.
Maybe.
So again, I'm not saying that Ripa was like, hey boss, you got any contacts? I'm not saying that he did that. I'm saying that like friends talk and he called the same place that Glenn was having his stuff made. That's just how business works.
Hey Eric, you're publishing a book. Well, I have a buddy who works at X publisher where Glenn has his books. We can get you in we can get you a deal or whatever. Yeah.
Exactly. It wasn't like a personal recommendation. I don't believe it was that. So when you got Avery falling through the Kia Forte, I believe that was part of that Texas Hollywood. That
yeah. I just love it. You said Kia Forte, and my brain had to like think for a second.
Wait, so what's a Kia again?
Yeah.
What is a Kia? Yeah. Do I look like I know what a Kia Forte is?
Do I look like I know what a Forte is?
But that again, like, so I believe that's where Ripa was going with the Yaira live action preview. And that's because that was like way out of nowhere. And I was like, there's no way that just sprung up out of nowhere because Eric July was making comic books. That was clearly there. And he decided, hey, you do cool shit. I do cool shit. Let's make cool shit together. And they did.
Right? No,
it's that easy.
I believe it really is that easy. I mean, You and I were talking about it. Claire Obscura 33, right? Like the game everybody is like super excited about. That game was made by like 30 people, and the director he found everybody online. Like he went to Reddit and was like,
Reddit,
anybody want to help design a game? Yeah, right. SoundCloud, and it just speaks to that. You know, like what Eric's doing, what Iconic is doing, what they're doing with Claire. You can make better product. Like it is so possible to go out there, find a fan base, create alternatives that grow and are big. Like Iconic Comics, Common America's like got displays in Japan now, like genuine Japanese. It's crazy. And they don't have any giant, you know, I guess Douglas Murray is their giant backer, but he's really he works for Iconic Comics, but he's like the biggest name they have.
I mean, Spencer, Spencer, think about it. Like, look at a lot of manga that's out. It's a small team of people that work on manga. Sometimes it's just two people, like one writer and one artist that work on manga, and they're bestsellers.
And they're like the children of mechanics. They don't come from Prodigy. The mangaka she's talking about. The children of mechanics. They don't come from Prodigy, you know?
No, 100%. They're the kids who like brought their toys to school every day and disassembled them and then put them back together. But
I mean, like, look at Kishimoto. Like, Kishimoto's a good example. Like, they just like traced Toriyama's work, and that's how they learned how to draw.
Oh, I feel like that's how a lot of people learned how to draw. I remember that's how I learned to draw, right? Like, Goku is so cool. Oh, I got tracing paper. I'm gonna trace my own Goku.
Everybody had that one picture of Goku jumping at the camera.
Yeah, that's how this generation of mangaka came up.
It's that picture, or it's like the generic profile one of him like standing there, like with about to power up. But Nerdigans, that is a really good point, and I want to curve it slightly because, you know, though when we think of those mangaka, we think of them at their peak, right? When they're doing like Naruto or Dragon Ball Super. In the case of what's his name? Toyotama, right? Toyotaro. I don't know why I blanked on that so hard. I know the guy. But like we think of those mangaka at the peak of their game, right? So like, or at least, you know, getting backing from Shueisha, which is a big company.
Or
you're not wrong.
No, I'm saying
there is before, but to illustrate it better, I would point to Manhwa, right?
Oh, that's a good point too.
That like Manhwa is two like solo leveling, Tower of God, all that stuff. One or two people legitimately just like uploaded on their free time, right? Like, oh man, I wanted to make a story. Hey guys, sorry, this chapter is not coming out. I have a test to study for. Like those, you know, I just gave those two examples. Those are giant franchises now. So it is so possible to make an alternative to get an audience. Here's where I think personally is the delineation, right? And we kind of see it in what Trump and Voight are doing with America and our movies and everything, which is you need to have a you have to have more of a plan and a mission than just we're going to own the other side, right? Or we don't like what they're doing, so we want our own stuff. That's a great sort of marketing pitch. But after, you know, if you go, okay, if everybody goes, yes, let's go. All right, what are we doing? And you just go, we're making movies are good again. Okay, how? You make them good. That doesn't amount to anything because then everybody starts debating and nothing gets done. But if you're like Eric and you go, okay, you're going to make, right? But if you're like Eric, you go, okay, we want to make comics. What are we going to do? Here's character number 1. Then we're going to lead into this. And then we're going to see if I can do this. You have to have more than just pie in the sky dreams, right? And that's, you know, I don't know why I'm being cheeky. I'll take the swing. Look at a lot of the, you know, like the EVSs of Comicsgate, or all of the millions of Kickstarters that, you know, said, we're going to give you a great game or a great comic and it's coming no matter what. Oftentimes the ones that all fail or that nobody cares about are the ones that go, you want to own them, right? Like, come on over. And then you get it and you go, like this was not really anything. You just did it was sort of a reaction, right? There's no passion. So you got to have that plan instead of just saying lots of things that are good to hear.
And that, to be honest with you, the way I read his post was like putting a gun to Hollywood's head. Again, like Nerdigans explained, he can't just issue this stuff without a national security threat. And it is no way that any court in the land is going to say Hollywood is a critical infrastructure to the United States. There's no court in the land that's going to say that.
Nobody's going to do that.
it seems more like that. Here, I've got my Hollywood ambassadors, and now you're going to listen to them because I have a gun to your head. And it seemed like that kind of like mafioso attitude about it. Like, what are you going to do? You're going to tell me not to tweet things?
Well, here's my problem is you're not wrong, but you're also not right because, and you know this because you were saying in your, this is how you read it, all that. I get that. And we can all have our different reads. The problem is if he's supposed to be our leader and he's supposed to be saying, this is where we go, you need to tell us what that plan is instead of leaving us all here to speculate on what exactly that means.
The threat. Yep, the threat of it.
Right.
And then come next Monday, he comes out and says, "What tariff? I had no idea." What
I don't know. I love movies. I saw Stitch last weekend.
I am the biggest friend of Hollywood. I am Stitch. I see so much of myself in the little blue 4-eyed baby.
Oh man. Speaking of Stitch, I know you saw this probably, Nerdigans. We all know it's going to be dumb. We all know they're being all virtue signally with it. But they did announce today, or like somebody leaked today, that Pleakley is not going to appear in a dress in the movie. And everybody was going like, oh, that's dumb. Like, of course, Disney, blah, blah, blah. And I went, guys, it's so simple. It's because she looks too much like Xi Jinping's wife when Pleakley has like the dress on. Because she's got like the Asian like bob cut. It's pretty bad. I'm making a joke, but I also wouldn't put it past them.
But like, I'm
taking you seriously. Like, that's true.
But like,
right. That's true now.
Like I saw like what it would look like, and I'm just like, you got the Muppet creature shot, Disney. There's no excuse for this. You own the Muppet creature shot for fuck's sake.
This is exactly sort of what I was getting at, right, Nerdigans? It's like we have all the capabilities to make better movies, to make good movies.
We have the technology.
And we can do it. We can rebuild. We can rebuild Hollywood.
I mean, I can't remember. I mean, hold on a second. Let me mention this. Look at Beetlejuice.
He's gotta find it.
Is
that the new one, right? The sequel?
Yeah, it used all practical effects. And there was another movie that came out recently that used all practical effects. It looked stunning. We have the technical capabilities to make great movies with technical effects.
Dude,
I think Dune does it too.
Well, Dune has a mix of it, but yeah, obviously they shot on like location and stuff. But like Nerdigans, to your point, we've had this technology for like, what is it, 2025? 70 years now with Godzilla, and like even before Godzilla of 1954, we've had miniatures like Star Wars did it. Oh, the matte painting thing they used to do for like backgrounds. We could do that. Think about like looking at your average Star Wars shot then and an average Star Wars shot now. I don't know. Well, I know about you three, or you two at least. I don't know about the rest of you guys in the chat. But yeah. Oh, what? You're Two-Spirit? I'm so proud of you for coming out like that. I didn't know you were so indigenous. But most of us can see like, oh, Disney Star Wars, that is a very CGI background. Like that is bad. You just kind of copy and pasted the same model all the way through. And
that's the volume.
That is the volume. Yeah. But then in the paintings, yeah, it's all a bunch of troops lined up, but there's little inconsistent, like it feels alive. So that's sort of what I'm getting at is we have the technology. We can do it. It's just the people at the top are refusing to. So now more people are branching out and looking for alternatives. And I want to see more alternatives pop up. I know this is sort of like a segue. It's hard, guys. It's like trying to break into the tech business, right? You just need $1 billion and $4.
Yeah, right. The 4 is important. The problem is that like they're not paying attention to things. Like I don't know, I can't show it here because we'll get auto taken down. This is absolutely protected stuff. I've seen it happen. No, I've seen like a strike happen for showing Thunderbirds.
I'm not scoffing at you. I'm not scoffing at you. I'm scoffing at like of course we fucking would.
It's a studio in Canada that just auto deletes your stream for that. Just there's no negotiating. Because Thunderbirds Are Go is an intensely expensive production to make because it is a mixture of CGI and practical production. And it is beautiful. You can't tell the difference until like some action scene starts and you're like, okay, that's not a miniature anymore. It's so well done. And I highly recommend people check it out, especially if you're a fan of like children's media and that, yes, this is children's media and it rewards that little tiny part of you that still believes in goodness and people, the aspirational qualities of humans. It's a very good story that does that. But what I'm getting at is like that level of attention to detail isn't present. Like you guys are talking about with the volume. I'm going to show you something I just did right now. I showed you a few minutes ago that Bella Ramsey video where she transforms into a hot Latina. or just randomly AOC, however.
Which
you
by
wanna
the
go with
way,
it.
I wasn't on when you showed it, but I was listening. Like, we need that technology. We need to like crop dust. We need to chemtrail all that technology. I don't care how. Get on it.
So the AI that I used to generate the video said, "Hey, would you like to add sound to this?" And I was like, "What?"
What? That's
And so
new.
I gave it a full sound profile of what I wanted, a couple paragraphs of what this 5-second clip is supposed to accomplish. And this is all based off of the screenshot of Bella Ramsey with her bottom lip being in a curious position and firing a gun. This is a single screenshot. And I applied only text direction to it, okay? I'm going to turn it down a little bit because I've only heard it a couple
It might
times
like
when
blow
people
our
were
ears
talking.
out.
It might. So here we go. Okay, now it's not great,
but it's there.
That is just with 4 minutes of generation time. Okay. All right.
Oh,
So
dude,
if you have
you gave it, yeah. That. Oh my God, that's a huge asterisk to put there.
right, and that wasn't hours. It was just 4 minutes of it doing that, and so like, until about like 2 seconds in, it follows the sound pretty well. And what I instructed it, the problem I think I instructed it was too many sounds. Rather than saying the gunfire is continuing while she is yelling, while
you were
there
just
is
sort
a
of like
grinding
stacking the
sound.
sounds or whatever.
Right.
Like do a
Yeah,
gun
exactly.
sound, do a yelling, do a gotcha.
Well, I just explained the scene sounds. And because they were stacked, rather than saying how they're supposed to play out, it layered them this way. So I said, you're supposed to scream now. The screaming, the gunfire is now missing because she's talking. You're supposed to hear an echo, and you're supposed to hear a grinding in the background. And so that whole thing right there is just 4 minutes with a simple 1-paragraph text description. Boom. Now, let's say you have a Hollywood version of this that is meant to review itself the way that ChatGPT does. Because ChatGPT will make you a video. And what it does is it goes back and watches the video as it's making it and looks for things that has been previously reported as inconsistencies. It itself doesn't know.
That's pretty cool.
So it's checking what people have said before about its work about too many fingers, and it's making sure that it has 5 fingers on the hand before it shows you anything. Now, again, this did not have that technology. It simply took my instruction and followed it through. That's it. It did not review its output. Had it done that, the gunfire probably would have lined up in those last couple of seconds. But what I'm explaining to you is, right here and now, is you can achieve these cheap little scenes with a $40 subscription to an AI video generating service now. If you run this through enough and cut it up, the same clip up enough, you can probably create a full sound profile. Then run it back through a video upscaler, and now you have it in Dolby Digital surround sound. Okay, it's there. I told a guy asked me 2 days ago about this. He said, Cider, you make a lot of this stuff for bounding. You make a lot of this stuff for your other job. What would it cost right now to make a 120-minute movie? And I said, I'm not pulling your leg with this. It'll cost you $2,500 to make that movie.
I mean, you can make it, but it's going to be bad at current.
I can't guarantee that. Remember I showed you these animations?
I can. The animations are great, but you can't. I've seen people try to do like extended. Oh, look, I recreated this clip, and it's a 7-minute AI recreation of a scene. It's not. We are not there at the point where we can make movies that the human eye will go, yes, like this works. It's hollow. It's sort of the thing you always talk about, right? Like when you look at the eyes of AI, you can see it's soulless. Yeah, like that's what all of the AI films or projects sort of do still.
Well, so what I told him is I said, you're not going to do a romance. It's not good for action. What you can do is racing. So a bunch of 5-second to 10-second clips of cars racing. It can do that perfectly fine. It's even mastered the glare off the rims. You've seen that with the stuff I've showed you.
Oh, yeah.
Of the vehicles. It took a 2D image and turned it into a full-blown car commercial.
That was
cool. Yeah, it was crazy. And so that's where it's at now. So I told him, I said, you can make a racing movie. $2,500, you have a racing movie, because all you got to do is get people running. You just have a guy in a car, and it animates the guy moving the steering wheel.
What was the movie that we were talking about last week with Sydney that they're doing? Outrun or whatever. There you go.
Yeah,
that's why they're doing Outrun. Super simple, super easy.
You know, I bet if you stopped Michael Bay and asked him if he's interested in using AI, he'd say to fill in some gaps. And
probably just for that, yeah.
Yeah, if you wanted a particular CGI shot.
I mean, you don't need to hand animate all of the like crashing metal in Transformers
Yeah.
when they're really close to you.
Right. And you know,
You
so
can't
that
make
makes
it out
sense.
anyway.
But again, yeah. But that's what I'm getting at is that like the technology right now, you can make a racing movie for about $2,500. It's gonna have bumps right now, but it won't have the bumps that it had 2 months ago. It won't
Oh,
have the
yeah.
bumps that it had a year ago. So at the rate we're headed right now, the production of this stuff is going to be way below where we're looking at it right now, which means again, like this tariff situation, it could end up backfiring entirely, killing Hollywood, and ended up giving birth to this amazing indie thing that's totally decentralized because every dang state has their own little pod Hollywood tucked away in the back corner.
But then that's here's where this is where my like concerns keep popping up is I bet all these AI teams have somebody who works outside of the US. There's got to be a Chinese engineer,
definitely.
an Indian guy.
100%.
Well, now am I going to get tariffed for that? Because now I can't afford to make my AI movie. That's where we need specifics.
Is
here.
your
You can't
AI?
Huh?
Right. No, I was just going to say, is your AI, it'll come down to this one because this is where the source material comes from. Is your AI data bank reporting or based in the USA? Anything else won't matter because the
I don't think so,
generation
man.
function, well, that's just it, is it won't be. It won't be. The supercomputer down in Texas is the thing that is going to like really boost this up to where like China's putting out right now. Half the engines that I use to generate come out of China.
Yeah.
That I can't, there's no way around it. They're the ones
No.
that have been really pushing the AI stuff for a while now. One of the funniest things I heard recently was there was one of these IRL streamers that was like, why am I hearing so many banger remixes all of a sudden? And I was like,
Because it was the AI.
duh. They just feed the original song back in the AI and then they say funk remix and it's it just does the rest.
I've talked to so many people who are like, dude, I pranked my girlfriend the other week. Like, I made her a playlist and I just threw in a bunch of random AI songs and she had no idea.
Had no idea. Well, listen to this. Listen to this one.
Doesn't feel the same. I sat down to rewatch that Archer in Green, but something felt off like a scene swept clean. No call to rise up, no fight against the crown, just some hollow action and glossed up renown.
He once spoke fire about kings and chains. Now it's gone like it never came. He used to say no king.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
What's been deleted now? What's been deleted now? Why does it?
Okay. All right. What I did was just as scummy, but I went and got the MIDI. You remember MIDIs? Remember way back in the day when all you could listen to on the internet for music was MIDIs? Remember that? Yeah. So I went and I picked Spencer, you're muted.
No, I really do. I'm like sitting here, my bones are starting to creak once you brought up midis.
Yeah, right. So I went and I found the MIDI for that song. Of course, it's ancient, so there were plenty of them. And I fed the MIDI into the AI, and I said, I just gave the instruments that I could recognize from it and told it that I wanted something sensual, but also a parody song. And it just added that lady in. There was no instruction from my hand to add that lady in, and all of a sudden she's in there. And I was like, well, damn, that's the one. You know, and it nailed the saxophone.
When it
all
comes
in
to
its own.
music, the AI is like, it's pretty scary, or not scary, but like it is so
It should be
far
scary.
along. Yeah,
It should be scary because
It-
like
yeah, scary
I'm
is
up
right.
I'm up in Maine, and of course there's not a lot of people who are like with it when it comes to this stuff. It's not, you know, technology is not too big up here, but wouldn't you know? But when I make music to boost up my stuff to like show off the proposals I'm making, it blows their minds. They think I have like a whole band somewhere. I'm like some billionaire with a band trapped in my basement.
Now that's going to
you
be
know?
the modern version of like when we were like 13 or whatever, and somebody is like, my phone's not working or my computer's not working, and all we ever did was like, oh, here, grandma, turn it off, turn it on, and they're like, you're a wizard. Or you like hooked up an HDMI cable one time, and they're like, Cider's our tech guy. When Nerdigans comes over, she'll fix everything. Don't worry, she's the tech genius. That's gonna be like AI now. Like, oh, don't worry. People are gonna start like over promising, right? Like my friend Cider, don't worry, I'll talk to him. He'll make you a whole big thing for your I don't know, party or whatever, and you'll be like, that's like a $4,000 job. I can't just do that. I don't know. I just see the future.
So, Richard, they used to be able to allow you to put your voice in, but they have recently stopped doing that because people were putting in Mick Jagger and all the old guys and having them sing like crazy anime songs and then making hundreds of thousands of views saying that, believe it or not, there are people who will go and say that they had a legit collaboration with these artists, having them sing these songs. And so that's how this goes. And so that's the limit on that one. But you can make a persona. That's the thing that I find most value about this. Is that the songs that you generate, you can create a persona around them. And that allows you to clone that voice across many different genres and songs. So you have a singer.
That's what I was wondering.
Perform your stuff. Yeah, it's very good. But we do have a super chat from Richard.
Richard!
For $3.33. He says, thanks for sharing the tools, Cider. Yeah, I absolutely. Free Pick is the website that I animate this stuff through in order to create a video. And Suno is what I use to create the music. And then 11 Labs, Matt C introduced. Yeah, the cat's saying, hello.
Stepping in for Jacob.
Yeah, right. But 11 Labs wants to show off.
Mr. Fussy.
There he is.
Mr. Fussy.
Hi, Mr. Fussy.
Yeah. Self-insert star of the show.
Yeah, you fussy butt.
I do know that so yeah, these are all the free AI tools. I know at least with the music one, that one, if you guys are interested, it's very, very easy to use. I know, don't know if he's in the chat right now or if he'll join us later or at all, but Sakaramita, he learned about Susanoo from Cider like 2 weeks ago. And he's been, he's like loving it. And he said, here's my first song. Do you think it's cool? And I went, that's not bad for an AI song, right? Like, so you guys you have the power in your hand, I guess.
Yeah, the music is a heavy hitter because, like I said, I make these proposals and stuff. You back it up. I can create a full-blown political ad campaign to promote a proposal that I came up with inside of 18 hours. And I'm talking a 30-day ad campaign. All I need is the money to send that off to somebody to distribute it. In 18 hours, a full ad campaign with testimonies from other people, all this stuff that I need, voiceover work, everything that I need done and done. I don't even have to get out of my seat to have drone flyover footage of my state. All right. And that's just, I can insert myself flying over that as Superman and they won't know the difference. I didn't spend $2 billion in James Gunn's afternoon.
Especially with your potential constituency, just being in Maine and being with, you show that to the Amish, they might just believe it. They might just go, holy crap, Cider is Superman. The legends are true.
The legends. The legends.
There's like one chapter in the Amish Bible or whatever where somebody like inserted Action Comics #1 and that became like canon. So you're like, and Ezekiel built the barn, a rocket from Krypton landed in Kansas. Like,
well, and again, I mean, we're burgeoning up on that discussion about everything is a Mandela effect now because it rebranded. I'm getting very annoyed with that. Like those of us who experienced the legitimate Mandela effect, now people are like, oh no, Brand X has changed their brand. And I don't remember that because I wasn't alive when that brand change happened.
And they're like,
so I'm going to assume that that's an alternate timeline now. And I'm like, you know nothing about the Squiggle Ford logo. Don't start with me.
Oh my God. You weren't there in the Berenstain trenches. Let's put it that way. Okay. There's a war memorial at the treehouse where they lived for the fallen over that debate.
Someday we'll get around to doing that conspiracy episode we talked about doing months ago.
We'll get there. We'll wait for Jacob. We need Jacob here for that one.
Right. But we do. I do want to bring up that we have some all-star news from the inner workings of Rockstar. PSI 5 Bros, we won. Is the caption here on this video? This picture. And there's an elderly man and a fat man staring at a woman's backside, tanning under the sunlight. So, apparently,
AKA South Beach.
Yeah, South Beach, any beach. Yeah. So, did you guys talk about GTA yet, or
we were waiting for you?
Awesome. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, I guess let's talk about it. Let's talk about some GTA, guys, because in case you didn't see it, in case you haven't watched it, the first full trailer for GTA 6 finally dropped like Monday. Side note, like I'm genuinely, I guess not surprised, but it's sort of still like eye-opening, a reminder. That video got like 40 million views in like 6 hours. People were very, I was so surprised. Like I woke up at 9 o'clock Pacific time here in Arizona. There was already like 12 million views on the video.
It has 475 million views now.
Crazy. That's just so, that's hitting like, what is it? Like Taylor Swift music video. I know there are other people who beat her, but
it's
like
hitting Gangnam Style numbers.
Yeah, there we go. There's a better one. Yeah, it's hitting Gangnam Style numbers just in a couple days. So clearly people are excited.
Wow.
No wonder. I mean, it's GTA. I think everybody okay, I saw a tweet that was like, oh yeah, GTA 6 looks great. Does it still have the same gameplay it's had since number 2? And I don't know why, but that kind of like really kicked me in the balls for a second, because I like GTA. I've never been like, GTA is my favorite game of all time. I have one GTA game that's in my top, and that's San Andreas. And I guarantee that would not be in my top if I wasn't specifically like a California kid who grew up in the 90s during that exact period. But yeah, like, so GTA 6 is coming out. It's set in Florida. It follows, you know, 2 fugitives, a man and a woman. And yeah, it looks good. And I know everybody is always excited about it. And obviously it does gangbusters with just even normies. But I don't know, like, what's the sentiment I'm trying to say here? It's sort of like, I don't care. Like, it doesn't seem fun to me anymore. And not even like talking about the content or anything. I just feel like we've been here. We've been here with open world games, with carjacking games, all that.
Well, it isn't Vice City. It said it was like Vice City and beyond. That's what it said. It said in Vice City and then goes beyond Vice City.
Which is
so
like,
like I think it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's cool, and I think like it gives like more potential. And I gotta wonder, I don't know if the people like writers from Red Dead Redemption 2 are still at Rockstar, because if they are, then that means like there's a really good potential for storytelling here.
Yeah.
But if there isn't, but if they aren't there, then I'd be curious, like how the story's gonna go. I'd be kind of concerned. But like if the Red Dead Redemption 2 writers are there, then I'd be excited for this for the story.
So yeah, that is a good point. Like, I guess the differentiator for GTA games is its story, because they've all been pretty damn good. I'd say probably for me the weakest was 3, but does that really count? Like, it's not really a they weren't really I don't know. You guys know what I mean? Like, it was such an early game.
They were still experimenting at the time.
Yeah.
The formula had not been discovered.
Yeah, there you go. Like, they still had a silent protagonist throughout all of it. So people are just talking at you. But I guess you're right, Nerdigans. But then that brings up, I guess, the biggest concern that I think is on everybody's minds, or at least everybody who's aware of this, is the team that's working here at Rockstar now. Even if it has the Red Dead 2 writers, it's not the same team that made 5 or 4 or anything prior to that, right? Like, the founders are gone. A lot of the writing staff has churned out. We will probably never know the depths of it, because we are not, you know, their accountants or their, you know, employee recorders or whatever. People get old, but also this game's been in development for like 10 years. People get old, people shift jobs, people have kids, people move. Like, we could be looking at a pure Ship of Theseus situation, right? Where like the people who started GTA 5 are like, none of them are on GTA 5 to this day. So
like the Washington Monument.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, 6.
Yeah, what was that? Washington Monument.
Yes.
Wasn't Red Dead Redemption 2 in like development for like 10 years or something as well?
I mean, that's a bigger that's a bigger discussion that we can all have like outside of GTA.
So
because
that's why I'm like, it's part of the course for Rockstar, where games are in development for like 10 years.
Yeah. Well, it's par for the course for Rockstar, and it's also like par for the course for the industry. And I'm very rarely does it ever seem like it pays off. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Rockstar is just like a rare case.
And even then, I feel like we're getting, you know, diminishing returns on what they're improving and like what they're bringing to the table. Like, the 3 of us have talked about this a lot, like the uncanny valley with realistic graphics. We've hit a plateau where until we can get like full photorealism, what is that, Ready Player One style graphics in a game, we can't really keep making improvements. We can keep giving you ray tracing, but that's not really going to do anything. And so, like, when I was looking at the GTA 6 trailer, a lot of my takeaways were like, wow, there's a lot of details on the models, on the animations, on a lot of the stuff, right? Like that guy who's walking by and looking at the big booty Latina, you can see the hairs like on his shoulders. There's a beer bottle in one of the screenshots that's actively like fizzing and bubbling. And that stuff's cool, right? Like that is really cool. Is that 10 years worth of development time worthy? You know what I mean? Like, so many games these days, Nerdigans, and so, that sounded so like I was arguing with you, but I'm more just addressing you. Yeah, like to your point, Nerdigans, so many, like think about how many games nowadays we see having 6, 7, 8, 9. Like what was it? I saw a stat the other day that was like, or no, I came up with the stat where it was like, they who is it? Sony Santa Monica. They made the entirety of the first 3 God of War games in the same period of time it took them to make the reboot and Ragnarok. And Ragnarok was already built on an existing engine. You know what I mean? Like there is something going on, like, you know, to borrow a popular term that's being used a lot now, it's the efficiency of it all. There's no, Cider and I have talked about this. It's back in the day, you used to be able to go, hey, Cider, I want to add this costume in. Can we do that? And Cider would go, let me think about it. Okay, no, we can easily do that. Or, oh no, it's going to take too much model time. And you go, okay, cool, good, bad, whatever, we move on. Now it's so bureaucratic that you go, hey, I've got to email like the lead designer. Lead designer now has to reach out to their team and see, hey, can everybody give me a status update as to where you are? And they'll go da 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 da, and they'll go, okay, well now, do you think you can handle this? And it's just so much back and forth.
Richard
debating.
was talking about this, and Kirby.
Oh yeah,
Kirby was bringing it up, and Richard was talking to
Kirby
about it a little earlier. Trying to find it here from Kirby. Might have gotten eaten by the chat already. Sorry. Yeah, he was explaining how like the process of making this stuff is so protracted now.
Yeah,
everybody and their
protracted.
brother.
Yes.
Everybody and their brother now has like a role to play in this, when it was just like 30 guys who like met in college and kept a loose relationship on like a cell phone list they kept in their on taped to their bedroom wall. You know, that's how they did it. The thing though that we're kind of missing with the GTA phenomena, I'm sorry, I don't think a lot of people play the campaign. I think everybody's looking forward to being online, making their own character, going around, screwing around in internet Florida. And that's where a lot of like the excitement about the past 2 GTA games have come from. 6 being part of that, is that the online thing was a complete surprise. I don't think anybody was expecting GTA Online to be as versatile as it became. There's a whole racing circuit.
Like it was going to do, like, or just for everybody out there, what Cider's saying is like, of course it was going to be big. It was going to do like, well, it's GTA, but how do you like the transformation of it into like this giant platform that is like, you can mod it and you can do it is Ready Player One. And that's what kind of took everybody by surprise.
Exactly. Is that
okay, cool.
It's not a game you go around and do like crime with your friends all the time. You can go around and do many other things inside of the GTA online setting. Like my favorite is the racing. There's a legitimate bet your money racing circuit on GTA. There's a legitimate money exchanging hands racing circuit, and they have told Rockstar they will not be stopped. They will clone the game and make their own version of this if Rockstar tries to ban them, because they've tried to, because again, illegal gambling in some countries.
Yeah.
And so
God, I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Because sometimes you have to have a license for this, and GTA obviously doesn't. So and again, so they're doing it. They have whole racing like Twitch streaming channels dedicated to being like the hacker with the eye in the sky view of all the racing stuff. And it is crazy how much money goes into this. Thousands of dollars per race. And these are guys that like have the racing set up. They've gone full keyboard remapping. Remember that guy that was playing COD with the steering wheel?
Yeah.
That's how they get into their racing matches. They're like driving their GTA character on foot to take the car
Yeah.
Then when they're in the car, they're driving around in the steering in there because they've remapped the controller to the steering wheel. It's like full on racing sims for this. GTA is an entirely different beast online than it is when you're playing campaign.
1000%. Yeah.
And that's why I think like they've got this new social media function inside of it. So quite obviously there's going to be more like random tasks that you can do at your own leisure time and tell your friends or like the masses about. And so that's
when you
going
say
to
social media, do you mean it's like it connects to ours, or it's like an in-game one?
It's an in-game social media.
Oh,
So
wow.
you'll be posting as your GTA Online character to people in your group, or I assume publicly. I go back.
Yeah,
and forth
we don't
on
know
public.
yet. Yeah,
but they demonstrated that during the first trailer that you would have a social media function that you could record with your phone what was happening in front of you and post it up on social media, like the cinema mode. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was in the phone now. They moved that to the phone. Yeah, so you could take that into a heist, gun in one hand, phone in the other. Da, 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 you know, yeah.
I wonder if Rockstar is going to incorporate the racing gambling function into GTA 6's online.
It would be smart.
Well, here's why I say they won't, or I'm going to be pedantic here. They won't, Nerdigans, and that's because with things like Roblox or well, not even that. Hear me out here. It's not even the legal element of it. It's with things like Roblox or GTA Online, where you sort of open up a creator's arena. You don't have to do any work, right? Like
that's
yes,
true.
Or like Fortnite, right? Yes, they made the main battle royale mode, and then they have the no build mode, then they have the Rocket League mode and the festival mode, which is like Rock Band for whatever songs you happen to pick. All the other modes you can play in that game, or most of the, I know I'm missing probably like 4 or 5 official ones, but most of the ones you hit are all creator generated, right? So all Rockstar has to do is put that, so obviously like the online will take from 6's gameplay. It's all still the same build or whatever. So they'll probably just really hammer out the mechanics and stuff in the single player, put that as a tool for people to build with in online. Let them do the work, because then yes, maybe those kids are playing that create like Cider Hype's racing map or whatever, but that's another hour or two that they're in your ecosystem where they get tempted to go, wow, I saw that guy with a cool helmet, I want to buy that helmet, right? Like it is real life transplanted right into the like kids only areas, and it's weird.
So one of my favorite things is I Am Wildcat, Tyler Wine Wildcat. He posted this and he says, guys, this is not me. What the fuck? It doesn't even look like me. And I don't know, Tyler. It has a very striking resemblance.
Kind of does. I think there is a moment in this trailer. I think it involves this character. I only watched it once, guys, because again, I already said I'm kind of iffy on GTA in general, but there's a scene in the trailer where they're in like a bar, and I'm pretty sure it's that guy. And that guy goes like, all right, let's go, shots all around or whatever. And that it throws me, or like it made me like fall out of my chair, because the voice of doing that is Master Shake. Like it's Dana Snyder, and it was just like,
oh my god,
whoa, did not and he's just doing the full Master Shake voice, like he's not even trying, which is fine, like that's his voice acting voice, but it just was like, whoa, didn't expect that one.
Like if that is Master Shake in the game, you're gonna have like the Aqua Teen fans totally just playing the campaign.
I mean, you're already gonna have Aqua Teen fans just by having him, right? Like,
exactly.
A lot of those, this is such a weird like asterisk niche, and it's not even anything I think there's a formula to. It was just one of those flash in the pan, lightning in a bottle things. Those early Adult Swim voice actors, like H. John Benjamin and him, like they somehow just in that period of like 2003 to 4 established the fandom of like their voice, if that makes any sense, right?
Yes.
So like people will, it's not even necessarily like, oh, I like Dana, I want to go to Dana. It's like that voice is enough for people to go, all right, I'm in. Like that's it. Like I want to be there for whatever you might be doing. I mean, I saw both Aqua Teen movies in theaters, okay? Wasn't the best idea, but Master Shake got me in there.
That's the magic of it, really, is that people have been pointing out that this is a little different than the trailer we saw earlier, that things look a bit more sculpted, bit different presentation. The energy was a bit different too. Hypnotic went as far as to say that they saw that there was an anti-woke backlash and decided to react to that Sonic style by making a new trailer and
I think
Lucia
that's a
more
reach.
I think that's a
pervasive.
big reach. Yeah.
It's one of those ones where it's like Rockstar has no incentive to go woke. The GTA game is deliberately designed to kind of spit in the eye of PC. Like
Exactly.
you can't play Trevor and not experience multiple phobes, isms, and ists just in the opening scene of introducing the character.
In asking you if you want to select the character, you have to list out 5 slurs.
Right, exactly.
But that's the thing with GTA. Like GTA offends everybody. That's the whole shit.
the point of
is
it.
offending
Right.
It's like, think of it about it. It's kind of
You're a
like
criminal.
the South Park of gaming in a way. It's like
Now-
it's like
Or-
the
let's go.
urban South Park of gaming. There we go.
Kind
where it
of,
offends
yeah, like a
everybody.
more the HBO South Park, if you will, opposed to the cable broadcast South Park.
Yeah, there we go.
Now here's where I want to address something, and we can bring this up, I guess. But you guys are right? Like from people, with at least looking at the past 5 GTA games, these are games that did take swings at everybody and did not have an incentive to go woke, right? Even now, I would say Rockstar could do whatever they want as long as they put out a GTA Online. They'll be like Nintendo solvent for like 90 years soon, trust me. But we have seen in the past, like with the remasters and the various re-releases, they have been censoring various things that normally, were just jokes that took swings at people. Or how do I put this? That was rambling. The 2 things I can think of in particular are, one, in I believe it's Vice City or San Andreas, there's a character who has a Confederate flag on his shirt, and he's totally that redneck stereotype. And in the re-release, they cut the flag. And then in the re-release of or an update to 4 or something, I don't remember. You can find it on Bounding, but a bunch of the transgender jokes were taken out. Like all of the like there were some action figures that made, how the GTA humor goes. So there was like an action figure that said like man she or whatever, and it's like super like gender switch action or what. There were things like that, and they've taken them all out. So so this is where I get torn. I think, unfortunately, with just where the industry is, we have to be wary that they might have done something, right? The how do I put this? One thing I would note is that we don't know all the changes they're making internally right now. So whatever product they put out there, we won't know if they made any severe narrative changes until somebody comes out and says we had to do this or says yada yada yada. I don't think they're gonna go full woke and you're gonna have CNN or Hassan Nabi talking points. You might have parodies of them. I can definitely see a Hassan parody in GTA, but I don't see them really preaching at you. I would say, if I'm going to play, I would play devil's advocate in one area here, which is, while I don't think they, saw the backlash and went, oh, let's we got to change everything, blah, 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 for the second trailer. Because this is they've had that trailer in development. They've had their marketing plan. They know what they're doing. They probably, if they did anything, they probably just said, let's make sure this looks extra good. It already looks like this, but let's really hit that lighting on it. Make sure all the models look absolutely perfect. So it sells the idea, it sells the game to everybody. And I know it worked because, there was, I'm sure we all saw this in the previous months, but there was a lot of random speculation that Lucia here, the female protagonist, was trans. It came from nowhere. There was no source for it. It was one guy on 4chan saying, I heard something, and everybody ran with it. When I was when I would go on that game, or when I am on that game place and I'm talking to Culture Casino and he brings up GTA, he always has to go, well, they're going to make them trans. And I go, buddy, that's just a rumor. It's not there. And so with this trailer, we saw Lucia, and I'm not seeing if that's a trans woman, then all right, great. That we have the technology. It's all fine, because that is a thick woman. She looks great. I'm into it. I don't know how I can shoot. It's going to be, oh my God, it's going to be like Goddess of Nikkei, right? When I crouch down to shoot, Luce is just going to bounce forever, and I'm going to have to like shut off the game, go to confessional,
take a cold shower.
But you know what? I just remembered this. I don't know if you guys saw this. It came out like I'm going to say a week or two ago. But Take-Two released their new terms of service and code of conduct, and I gotta wonder if because I tweeted about it too, if that code of conduct in particular is going to affect GTA Online, because it says you can't say racist or sexist or any of that stuff online.
I mean, you still can't. Like I think,
I know.
But there's a difference here, Nerdigans, between like a story's content and your behavior, right? Like if somebody wrote a story and they had a character screaming the N-word or whatever, I would go, okay, that's the story. Let's see what like, it is. But if they came up to me and they just started screaming it, I would go, that's different. That's not okay.
It also includes user-generated content as well, and you can't create
same principle. Same principle.
You think they're just going to ignore it anyway?
No, I'm not saying they're ignoring it. What I'm saying is these are okay. A lot of people always look at these terms of services and go, oh, look, they're saying you can't say offensive things. You can't do that. And it's like, yeah, guys, that's kind of what you have to do to have a public social space. If you want to go yell slurs or talk politics or whatever, there are millions of avenues to do that. You don't have to do it on this one. So what they're saying is they're not saying, oh, we are going to, no naughty things in our game. They're saying, we don't know who you are as a user. So if you start creating here, we can't give everybody a blanket like, yep, everything is okay because we trust our users. They can trust their content because they are the company and they're making it and they can review it. But you don't know if, like, it's kind of like what Cider says all the time when we post videos. We don't know if today we're going to get the guy who's super engaged and follows us and starts hanging out on live streams, or the guy who starts calling for Cider's head on a platter. So you kind of, it's legal. It's, it's also just, I don't know. I don't want to deal with that kind of crap when I'm playing a video game, right? Like you want to have weirdo race politics, whether it's kill all darkies, kill all whiteys, go have it, get it out of my face.
The 4chan side of GTA Online.
Yeah, kind of, pretty much.
So they did confirm though that this footage was captured on a base model of a PS5. So everything
the PS5
we saw,
Pro is pointless.
Well, a little bit, yes. I mean, I'm of the like, I hate when they do like, standard and then pro model releases, because that feels like the physical hardware equivalent of on disc DLC. You know what I mean? Like, you guys already have it, just give it to us. Don't charge us another $100 for it. But what this really shows, Nerdigans, is that, like, yeah, the Pro is kind of useless, but even worse is that everybody has not been using this like machine to its like extent, right? Or like to its maximum capabilities. I think that Returnal game looked pretty good. That came out early in its lifespan. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks incredible. Regardless of I know there's going to be a lot of debate about whether you guys like the game or not in the chat, but regardless of that, it looks fantastic. And now we're getting this. What this shows me is that we could have gotten here a lot sooner. I mean, how do I put this? If this, what makes me really angry, so objectively, like, oh, that's a cool stat, that good on Rockstar for being able to unlock and optimize and, get their game running like that on a base PS5. Like, that should normally be how that's how we should be reacting. And there is a bit of that in here, but it's also like we are getting rumors right now that the PS6 is going to start rolling out its advertising, its pre-order window, maybe even launch within the next 12 months. And that, I sit here and I go, so there are no games on the PS5. Like there are like 2 exclusives. Everything else is on PC now. And you've kind of been giving us subpar, weird looking gurgitations of the last gen with your Call of Duties and everything and your Spider-Mans. And now at the very end of the life cycle, Rockstar goes, oh, look what you could have been doing with it the entire time. And it's like, oh, then why the fuck am I paying you for a PS6 when you can't even use your PS5 technology to like the 9s? And then bringing up the Pro, it's like, if that's what it is on standard, your Pro thing should be our Ready Player One at this point. So it's very cool on Rockstar, I think, but it's also it's just a testament to how embarrassing we are as like an industry now. And it's not even, you know, a West versus East thing. Somebody in the last like 10 years, there was a weird like I mean, this is a hyperbolic speculation, but there was like a like generational die-off in like the last 10 years of people who knew how to compress video games and optimize video games, because everything that we get nowadays is like 400 gigabytes, 500 gigabytes. We don't need that, right? Like, and that is probably what we're seeing here is Rockstar optimized, and they went, oh, look at that, we were able to fit our that, let's say, like that original trailer build onto a freaking like PS1 memory card. Okay, now let's go, and now we can build upon it. So it like that is really cool, and that impresses me, and it's great for Rockstar, but it makes me so mad at sort of everything else. And I think it's more mad because in years past, or even in like other mediums with movies or TV shows, we would go, wow, that was bad. Let's let them know, and they'll, you know, they'll hear the backlash, they'll see that they're not making, you know, money, and they'll, you know, try to change. That doesn't happen anymore, right? Like, I can get
Spencer.
mad as we want.
Spencer, you're having issues.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's like your router is shitting the bed or something.
Dang it, cat, stop it.
But while Spencer is taking care of what that issue is, there talking to his microphone. You know,
I do want to mention, kind of go off of what Spencer was saying, is something that I noticed, and it's kind of very frustrating, is like I look in terms of PlayStation, is you look at like say PS1 had obviously tons of games. PS2 obviously had tons of games, both in their lifetime. PS3, these are all original games. So many throughout its life cycle. It took a minute for PS3, obviously, but they all had original games. PS4, again, took a minute, but by the end of its life cycle, had a ton of original games, and they were able to utilize the PS4 to its extent. But the PS5, something is going on. You don't have like PS5. I would understand. Kitty, knock it off. I'd understand if it took like maybe like a year or something to get the technology, because that's what happened with PS3 specifically. It took a minute to figure it out, and then once they got the technology figured out, then then the games started coming. PS5, here's where I would have been like, okay, you guys kind of could get a pass for it, and then start bringing in the games, is because similar to the PS3, they were working with 4K, which was, you know, 4K is when PS5 came out, is a new technology, kind of like with the PS3 and Blu-ray. So that's why I'm like, okay, you could maybe get a pass for that. And you were doing a backwards compatibility with PS4, which is still using Blu-ray. So that's where I'm like, okay, PS5, you could get a pass for that. But you still got to, like, after a year grace period, then that's where I got to draw the line. And you got to start putting out original games. You can't put out remakes.
Yeah.
And I'm still pissed off that if you were going to do backwards compatibility with PS4, which uses Blu-ray discs, there's no reason that you can't do it with PS3, which also uses Blu-ray discs. That's inexcusable. And I'm still mad that PS4 isn't backwards compatible with anything, because I have PS3 games that I'd like to use on it.
Well, they always think they're smarter than the consumer anyway. So, but you know who does know is Rockstar. Rockstar said, how many ass shots should we put in of Lucia? Should we put in the GTA trailer? And of course, Rockstar replied with yes. And there you go. Rockstar presents butts.
I've seen people say that that's a man.
butts.
I've still seen people say that's a man. I'm like, how is that a man? That is a woman. That is a Latina woman.
That one's way out of nowhere, because like I understand that she was in prison, but like they don't send you to prison being a man. So that, you know, especially to a women's prison, that's very awkward. So yeah, again, it's very bizarre to hear people claim that looks like anything like a man. I guess maybe because she's not sporting Laura Croft, original Laura Croft, polygonal boobs.
But that's how
wouldn't
Latino.
know,
This is
but-
how Latino women are shaped. Like, I just don't understand. Have they just not been? Have these people just not been around Latino women?
Women in general, most likely. You know, never seen one from the back without getting in trouble. Yeah. Yeah, exactly, right? They're just trying to be like, don't worry, guys, we still know what a woman looks like. Don't worry. And just in time for the butts. Welcome back.
Yes, now I was summoned. Yeah, I have no idea what happened there. I don't remember where I was cut off, but
You were cut off about like the PS5 not releasing games. And what I said when I was saying that it's kind of interesting that like PS1 through like PS4, there were so many games throughout their generations, and like PS3 and PS4, it took like a minute for them to start releasing original games. And then PS5, you got nothing. But like and I was telling Cider, like with PS3 and PS5, I could give them a grace period because they're working with new technology. With PS3, it was Blu-ray, and PS5, it was 4K. But like with PS3, it took like a year, maybe a year and a half, and then that's when they were really putting out games. PS5, there's no excuse, especially since you got they're working with 4K and Blu-ray, and I'm still pissed off that I'm still salty that PS4 is not backwards compatible with PS3.
We'll get there someday. I feel like at PS8 they'll throw us a bone because it'll cost $9,000 in your firstborn child, but at least you'll be able to play Metal Gear Solid 2 again. I mean, that's what I want. But no, I really don't have any more to add to the PS5 conversation. Like, you are right, Nerdigans. Sony. So the PS2 was probably the last time Sony had a very, very solid launch lineup for anything. They had Ridge Racer and Ace Combat and Devil May Cry 1 and just a bunch of like good experimental and like a good mix of like experimental new titles and, sequels to things. Nowadays, they sort of do. You see this a lot with like NVIDIA, right? Like NVIDIA or what's the term I'm looking for? Like technology companies, right? Like computer technology companies and stuff like that. They will just sort of incrementally like release things, right? Like, okay, this year you guys got the 5700 card. 2 years will go by and they're like, oh, hey, by the way, here's 6600. It's ready to go. And in those capabilities, you don't need to keep like upgrading all the time. You can like wait a little bit or whatnot. But I think they're starting to like Sony or maybe even consoles in general outside of Nintendo. And I'll talk about them in a sec, but like Sony and Microsoft, I feel they're either taking after NVIDIA or because they partner with them for all of their chips and stuff, they might be on some sort of schedule with them, but they never like the PS3, the PS4, PS5, even PS3, they didn't have good release games. Neither did the Xbox One or Series XS, or is that what we're on right now? I don't even know where we are anymore with that thing. But it's this weird trend that I see where so when I was younger, when I wanted to buy a new console, I wasn't necessarily going, oh man, I need the new console. It was, holy shit, there's a game I want to play that's going to be on this console. I remember I got my my PS2 because of Kingdom Hearts. I got my 360 because of Call of Duty 2. I got my PSP because of some very obscure anime game that didn't really go anywhere. Don't worry about it. I'm embarrassed to talk about it. But that's what I mean, right? Like in the past, it used to be I want to play this game, so I have to buy that console. Now it's this weird thing of like you buy the console as almost a social like status symbol, and then let it collect dust. You know what I mean? Like there's just it takes that 4 or 5 years for them to start releasing an original game, and then it's a year after that they go, oh, by the way, PS6, it's on the way. And it boggles my mind. It's why like I don't leap to buy launch consoles anymore, because what am I going to do? I'm going to open it. I'm going to go, ooh, this is fancy. I'll play whatever one game I grabbed because I needed something to play on it. And then I go, all right, when is something I want to play? When is, instead of something I just grabbed? And it's so frustrating. Like the PS, I'm going to look it up because that lineup was so stupid. But like with the Switch too, just a quick, like asterisk on that. It's why yes, there's a lot to complain about with the Switch 2, and it is objectively like one of the most anti-consumer launches we're seeing in a long time. But credit where credit is due, at least Nintendo launches their shit with a game, right? And not just like a game, Nerdigans. Not like your
good game.
Right, exactly. It's not your FIFA or your like Mario and Donkey Kong 3, like remember the mini game ones on the GBA? It's not like that. They do Mario Kart World Tour or Mario Sunshine or Twilight Princess or Breath of the Wild. Like they show up, right? Everybody else just sort of is like, oh, I'm here, and it boggles the mind. It's why I've gone full PC at this point, right? Like, I don't know. Let's talk about butts.
But yeah, for me, because I've been Nintendo girl for as long as I can remember, because the first console that I ever owned was my brother and I pitched in our money together. This was back in like 1999. Was going to Costco and get we got the Pokemon bundle, Game Boy Color bundle, and then we pulled our money together and got the Nintendo 64 Pokemon bundle.
It's so weird to me. Like, it's so weird to me to think that Costco has existed that long. Like, I know it has, but since it's sort of like I was a kid, right? And so I didn't pay attention to Costco until I turned like 14 or whatever. And then I don't know. It's just so weird to think that like what am I trying to say here? I feel like all the old stores that I used to go to order things from like that, they're all gone. Like the EB Games, your GameStops, your
Games actually is coming back in Canada.
They are coming back in Canada. They I don't know how that's going to work. There's not a lot to that story, guys. It's just that Canada, a new company bought the Canadian branch of GameStop. They're rebranding it back to EB Games. They say that, I looked into their financial like statement or their filing, and it's a lot of the generic business talk. And the only thing they really say about what they're going to do is like, we're going to go back to EB Games and, revamp our line of products and offerings. And I'm like, how? Like, honest. And I'll even put this out to the chat. Like, how do you improve a video game store at this point without turning it into a Funko store like GameStop currently does?
Well, GameStop, I don't know if Spencer, you've probably seen it in the toy hunting videos. GameStop has been putting like more figures, like collectible figures in their stores, more than Funko Pops, from what
they have. But here's the bummer about it is they're often not just like more expensive than you can find online or elsewhere, but like upcharged over like 10 20 bucks over it. And I'm just like, I know better, right? Like I know shopping, and I know I can get a better price, and it's not like GameStop is a local business I'm looking to support, so you can kick rocks.
It's like FYE in a way. That's what they're doing, is they're pulling in FYE.
Speaking of things that still exist, that still exists out in like whatchamacallit, like the UK. Well, yeah, there you go. Yeah, essentially.
About these days. Yeah. Oh, you sharing something for us?
Yeah, I this is what I was looking up. This was the launch lineup for the PS2. So you had your Ace Combat, your Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, DMC 1, Final Fantasy X, Gran Turismo 3, GTA 3, Ico, Jak and Daxter 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, and Silent Hill 2. Like, that is the 96 Bulls of like video game launch lineups, and nobody has come close to even anything remotely this good. Like just this good. Like, these are all really solid games. I think for me, the worst one here would be Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, but I just don't like sword and sorcery. Like we talked about last week. I see man on horse. I see man go take nap.
It gets that quick. It really is. He's not lying. And that's
the original Xbox didn't have a good launch either. They had some titles, but I don't think they had a good launch.
Xbox is just a disaster in general, man. Like I don't know. Phil Spencer is going around right now, and he's talking about like, yeah, we're really, ramping up for our next console, blah, blah, blah. He's
full of crap.
Well, they also leaked, hold on to that thought, because they also leaked the like Microsoft handheld. They're developing it with ROG, like the Asus ROG people. So they like that leaked. And to what Nerdigan said, like, it makes me so confused and makes me think Spencer's a liar, because I don't know how you kind of keep up the facade of we're a competitor and you should treat us seriously after you have back-to-back, one, an ad campaign where you start going, oh, an Xbox isn't a traditional Xbox. Your phone is an Xbox. Your PC is an Xbox. Your PlayStation is an Xbox, right? Like you start doing this sort of opening up the exclusivity gates or whatever to the rest of the industry. And then like the next day you have Spencer admitting, oh yeah, we've been in third place in every console generation, not even close. How, like, you do that and then how am I supposed to look at this as anything other than that, right, Nerdigans? Like, oh,
yeah,
this is bull crap, like, or it's really a really bad idea, pretty much. Like, I don't get what they're doing over there. Xbox is just, they're flailing, and I'm not surprised. They really only ever had one franchise, and that was unfortunately Halo, and that was good for a while.
Or no, they had three. They had Gears of War and Fable.
Oh my God. Oh, so yeah, we know Fable's coming back. That one's probably going to be a turd. We haven't heard anything about it. But on Gears, it's so funny you bring up Gears. This week they pulled a Last of Us, and it made me laugh so hard because they announced on Monday that it's called like the Gears of War Resurgence Edition. It's something like that. But basically, they're porting the Gears of War trilogy or the first game to PS4 and all the modern, or PS5, yeah, and all the other modern console and the modern Xbox, whatever it is. And it is like, it made me laugh because they gave it a new name, right? Like it's like that Resurgence Edition or whatever. But it is it's only like a graphical touch up to the last remaster they did of Gears of War. So I'm just like, what are you guys even doing? And also, honest to God question out here, and I really mean this. I'm not even trying to be a pedantic asshole. Who really, really, really liked like Gears of War? I know it was popular because it was on the Xbox. What does it offer us that we don't see from something like Tremors or Dune or Starship Troopers? And also, everybody's just a big, weird walking meat tank. I don't know. I've never been a big fan of Gears, and I don't feel like Gears is a remaster or a graphical touch up to a remaster of Gears 1. I don't feel like that's you putting your best foot forward, if you will. That's sort of you woke up hungover right before the show was about to begin, and you just threw on something onto the set list that you could sing off the top of your head.
Here's my thing. I said this a while ago. I said when they announced Gears was going to be on the PlayStation. The moment they did that, that was the moment that Xbox became this generation Sega.
Yeah, I can actually agree with that. Except Sega has like mascots and generally good games. It's so hard for me to. Here's where my thought just went, Nerdigans and Insider. Do you guys remember PlayStation All-Star Battle Royale?
Yep.
Which was like the really bad PlayStation themed Smash clone with like Kratos and Raiden.
Yeah.
After that, a lot of people went, well, what's Microsoft's turn, right? Like, when are they going to get their Xbox fighter? I can't tell you. That list only goes for like maybe 4 or 5 actual characters. And then you get like Master Chief, Banjo and Kazooie, somebody from Killer Instinct,
Conquer,
and then maybe like, I guess, take you can have the hero from Fable, but I guess model him after the one that's on the box art with like the spiky hair and the ponytail or whatever. What do we have after that? Oh, I guess we have Perfect Dark, we have Joanna, but then it's Forza car. It's Project Gotham racing car.
Then there's the character from Tales of Vesperia and Lost Odyssey.
Odyssey, my Vesperia wouldn't, because actually I don't even know how they want to license these anymore. But even still, even when you and I are starting to reach for like third-party characters now that just happen to have a game on the Xbox.
But they're Xbox exclusive.
No,
yeah.
I know. But like what I'm saying is, there's not Xbox doesn't have a roster or a history or a library, I guess, like Sega does or Nintendo. You got like 5 real characters and you abandoned most of them for Master Chief, and then you blew up Master Chief. And like, who remembers Blinks? Blinks the Time Cat? Not really. Like, the game was okay, but you guys had something there. I liked Blinks. Blinks was cool looking. And then you just went, one and done. We're out of here. We're good. All right, man. All right, sure. Got to make another Halo.
Well, that's just it. Is that Gears of War came out 6 years after Halo did, 5 years after Halo did, something like that. And so it was obviously an attempt to take like what worked with Halo, which was man with gun and he's tough, beats the ass of alien. Also, the Afghan-Iraq war, and that's also the Afghan-Iraq war.
To be fair, we can paint that into everything from like 2002 to 2009, and
well, they did
2002 to 2009, and then one show in 2025 for some reason.
Bizarrely, yeah, that one show. But anyway, but yeah, so this was an attempt to kind of like take what worked with the Halo franchise and then try to draw it back into more like I would say Southern rock, a bit more of the little more Doom guy metal, but not Doom guy. We're not gonna go all the way Doom guy. We're gonna go like 75% Doom guy. And that was
and then the other 25 is where he has his like helmet off, right? Or like that's why Marcus Phoenix doesn't have a helmet. That's where they decided to like break the design.
And why he's a Latino, you know, because they were like, now nobody will think it's Doom guy because he's not a white guy.
That was that wasn't even a like woke recon, if you would, or retcon, if you would. It was just weird because it's like Marcus Phoenix with like Fenix, total like gruff white guy stereotype, and then in like the third game, they're like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I've."
He's like, "Hola, I like tacos."
Yeah, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, where did that come from? And they're like, "Oh, he's been that way all the time." And I'm like, I guess, but
it's like finding out that Master Chief is Dutch or something. Like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah, right. Like, oh man, no, just I had a reference and I totally just blanked on it because I had like 7 at once. But anyway, yeah, Gears of War. It's already on the floor. You don't have to. See, like, I'm not even against like dude bro media stuff. Like, I love a lot of dude bro media. I love Michael Bay movies. I love the Halo games. I love Call of Duty. I was playing Fortnite earlier today. So, like, I'm not against it. It's just this. I never got the, like, none of this ever stood out to me, right? Like, I think after riding the big high of Halo 3 or Reach, whichever one came out right before Gears 1, you ride that, you get Gears, which is slower. And I think maybe that's what it is. My problem with the Gears franchise is like, it's too slow. And so then when you make everybody giant buff dudes too, it just makes them feel even slower. Like in Space Marine, the Space Marines are giant gigafuck hulks, right? But they still dash and you feel like you're really moving. In Gears, it's like, oh, this is the realistic experience of actually doing.
You're gonna get there. You wait.
Right, it's like the 30-mile trek with your like gear on that you do during like boot camp. Like, okay, great. Like this is
the fast travel is disabled pace in Skyrim. that's just, you've taken on too many aliens. Your fast travel has been disabled.
No, that's 100% what it was. I will admit the one thing I did really like from the Gears games were their grenades, because they like were bandolier style. So like Marcus would like wind them up, and then the physics and the way they did it was really cool, and I really liked those grenades. But more to the point, even if this, like, regardless of how we all feel about the game, my main point was, if Microsoft is trying to, they're trying to like play victim, or like not victim but pity party, and then also tell you, don't worry, we're the best still, we're still delivering great content. And when they say we're delivering great content, they deliver us a Gears of War remaster or graphical touch up for the PS4, and it's not even like the whole trilogy, it's just the first game. So it's sort of like for a more practical example, imagine you're a boss at whatever company, and you have an employee who might not be, you know, maybe he stacks the cans wrong, or he doesn't show up on time, yada yada. You take him aside and you go, hey buddy, like I see that you're not doing too hot right now, what's going on? And he goes, hey, I know, like, this is what's happening to me. I know I've been slacking. I do want to do better, though. Like, please give me another shot. And you go, okay, I hear you. At least you know the problem now. Then he goes back out on the floor and he goes, I'm employee of the month. Like, get out of my way, everybody. And then he goes, like, oh, yeah, I want to show my value to you, boss. So I'm going to, like, wipe down the checkout line belts. And it's like, that was sort of your job anyway. You're not really showing up. That's very like you're not impressing me. I don't know why I'm still hiring you. So that's just where it is. I I think Xbox really wants to be a publisher. Like you were saying, Nerdigans, they want to be the Sega over a console manufacturer. But it just makes me feel weird where it feels like I think that's it. They don't even know what they want to do, right? They don't know if they want to go be a publisher or if they want to stay in the console game. So they keep announcing one thing and then the other side announces another thing and then ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping. And that's not just my cousin's name. That is the action that is happening right now. So it's all over the place.
But then I look at the Xbox handheld and I'm just like, dude, that is just a PSP and a Switch fusion.
Well, it's not even like that deep. What it is it's just the Asus ROG Ally with like the Microsoft part, like the Xbox 360 controller parts on it. Which is what I mean, right, Nerdigans? Is they're going like, yeah, we want to be in the console game still. Let's just go partner with somebody and put our name on that one instead of, being Sony or Nintendo and making your own proprietary platform and making plans to have games on that. You know what I mean?
It looks like a PSP with mixed with the Switch. That's what it looks like to me.
No, that is what a ROG typically looks like. Is what I'm saying. Like,
yeah,
that is what a ROG is. They just threw the Xbox parts on it. But see, you've even got like this is admittedly a test build, but you've still got like the Asus ROG branding on it. It just feels too little, too lazy. You know what I mean? This doesn't inspire me to want to go pick up an Xbox handheld or renew my Xbox Live account or anything. Like, I was thinking about this earlier when I saw that released. I went, what appeal does this have to me, or would this have to me over either a Steam Deck or just a regular, more cheap out like ROG Ally that I could probably crack open and not worry about proprietary Xbox parts? And nothing really. Like,
the Steam Deck's going to have a more evolved library. It's going to it's going to have more support. Microsoft, they're going to put that thing out and they're going to go whoops and never talk about it again.
Yeah.
And that
1,000%. Remember the Kinect? Like nobody talks about the Kinect anymore, but that was what they were all about for like 5 years.
They have been trying to do a handheld since the DS.
They have.
It's just it's finally manifested in, hey, can you spray paint that Asus lime green, please? And we'll call it an Xbox handheld, thanks. And it goes back to the mascot problem. See, Nintendo understands their market because they created so many tent poles that allowed them to test every sector of their like cult-like following. So they create these monoliths like Mario, like The Legend of Zelda, like Splatoon, and then they can test how the audience is receiving that to give them a device that is at least meets what people want, that are agreeing among each other. Xbox doesn't have that. Xbox is like, this week we've got a game that kind of looks like Final Fantasy, and next week we're going to have a game that kind of looks like Halo, and then the other week it's going to be a game that crashes all the time.
Actually, I didn't even think about that, but that really is how Microsoft operates.
and that's kind of been the problem. Like PlayStation drifts into this more so than it used to, but up until the late part of the PS4, there was a certain aesthetic to PlayStation games. They had a punky Final Fantasy look to them. They were always sticking to some hyper realism when it came to people walking around, like almost photorealism or an attempt at it. And then when it came to their animated characters, they were punky, they were rebellious, they had like crazy things to say that you wouldn't hear out of the Nintendo characters. Then Xbox comes along and says, we got one of those. And that was like the extent of it. That was the end of
actually it was.
We have man in space shoots aliens, also the Iraq-Afghanistan war. And that,
Oh, and you forgot.
That's like a little disclaimer at the end of every Halo promotion. Also the Iraq-Afghanistan war.
And you also forgot like the other thing that PlayStation has that separated itself from both Nintendo and Microsoft is that Sony is like, you can actually crack it and upgrade your hard drive if you want to. Go ahead. Here's how to do it.
That was pretty nice back. I don't think you can do it. Or no, they've made that a feature now. That's right. But yeah,
we made it a feature since PS3.
Yeah, but back in the PS2, they were like, well, here's a hard drive, and we know it's like weird to like install, but we'll help you out. Here's a warranty or whatever.
Xbox, if you tried though, they're like, nope.
Xbox
lockdown.
Well, Xbox, like, I don't even want to get into that technology because, like, my Xbox, like my fat dude, he still runs. My 360, I had to go through 5 of them or 4 of them. I don't even remember at this point, but it was
the red ring of death.
Yep, the red ring of death over and over and over again. But it's so maybe like let me ask you two this, and obviously everybody in the chat. When I was younger, and when we were in the throes of that Xbox, PS2, GameCube, then Wii, 360, PS3 era, where they were all, at least in the public consciousness, sort of on the same plateau. I always sort of thought that, like, you know, they did carve out like niche markets, or at least like they attracted specific markets and identities. Like you had the Nintendo, which was your younger generation, and also your, you know, generally people, if they liked the video games more than just I play Madden, they're probably going to have a Nintendo, right? So that's a pretty easy thing there. That's what Cider was saying with the tent poles and all that. Then you went to the PS3 or the PlayStation platforms, and again, like Cider said, you had more of that artistic, experimental. It was a little more Wild Westy. I mean, even look at that launch lineup. You have Silent Hill 2, a psychological horror game with no combat. You have Metal Gear Solid 2, which is one of the most contrived and weird entries in the entire series. Devil May Cry 1, which is a brand new IP nobody knew anything about. Ico, none of that would be launched today. All of those would be replaced with like the latest sequel to Mortal Kombat, Injustice, GTA, yada yada, Call of Duty, blah 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 blah. So it was sort of that more experimental, and at least here in the West, it was probably more considered more of the like Asian console, right? Like if you wanted like weeby stuff, you went to the PlayStation, and then the 360 and the Xbox One, I guess, or the regular Xbox and the 360. I always thought that they, not even in a condescending way, but in like a really good way, they were the console for the casual dude bro gamer out there, right? Like I know that when I went out to, if I went to like a party in college, there was a good chance I'm going to see a 360, but there's not going to be Halo Reach or Tales of Vesperia. There's going to be Madden, and there's going to be Call of Duty, and probably Gears of War. And that, I always thought that worked. And, you know, there's nothing wrong. That's how we get, for all the crap I was talking a second ago about them not really having mascots, like Forza and Project Gotham, those are still on their own very good games. Like they are incredible racing simulators, but and that would appeal more to that normie casual crowd. It's just after the 360, like with the One, they went, instead of sort of staying in our lane and keeping on, that's when they started trying to like branch out and make the Xbox like a media center. Remember, like when I got like with the Xbox One, that's when they had the what is that? Windows 9, 11, 10, whatever gives like the tiles, right? Like they have
that
on the
was
tablets.
Windows 8. That was Windows 8.
They had that on the Xbox One as its operating system, and it made, I think we've talked about this here before. I think we have, like the three of us, but like menus in video games are not conducive to like a fun experience or like making anybody want to play. For example, if I click open a game and I have to go over to this menu for multiplayer, then this menu for, you know, online multiplayer, then I have to click on this to, you know, load my, fuck all that, right? Like that is way too over the top. I just want to be able to hit play and go in, and then I will go and explore all those options on my own. That's sort of what that operating system did. So you like turned on your Xbox, and instead of seeing a tile that was just like play game or store, it was, you know, tile for Netflix, tile for your sound, tile for Bluetooth connection, tile for Windows Store, tile for Hulu. Like it was just all over the place. And it was just, it made me physically like uncomfortable using the Xbox One operating system. And I don't know what the XS is like, because I don't even know what the reason for that console is.
I'm glad I didn't have to deal with that. It was always simple with the Wii, the Switch, the PlayStation. It kept it. That's the thing with Nintendo and Sony. They've always kept their menus so simple and easy to use. It was never complicated. It's never complicated with them. But like,
no, it's not.
But when I was at GameStop, and I was working at GameStop from like 2008 to 2010, so like the PlayStation 3, PS2, PS3, Wii, Xbox 360 era, how I sold it was like, if you are into shooters, and online multiplayer, go for an Xbox 360. Unless you want free online multiplayer, then a PS3 is where you want to go.
Yes.
But if you want like a more variety in games and you want like good exclusives, go for a PS3, especially since it has a Blu-ray player as well. You get that too, which
that was a big sales point for that back then. But now they all do it. It doesn't really. Well, I guess the Switch doesn't, but
no.
Oh well.
But then in the case, but like,
hey, wait a minute. That's kind of, now that I think about it. Sorry, I don't want to cut you off. I just want to give this interjection. Like, we're asking $450 for this thing in 2025, and I still can't watch Blu-ray on it. I don't know. That feels weird. Keep going.
That does feel weird. But then in the case of the Wii, like, or Wii and the DS too, and the PSP, like in the comparison for the DS and the PSP, like, do you want more games or do you want to be limited for like the PSP, but you could still watch movies on the PSP? But then in the case of the Wii, like, there's, despite the shovelware, there's a lot of good games on the Wii too.
I want to put like quotation marks and asterisks around what you just said. Yes, you could watch movies on your PSP, but you had to get the UMDs. You had to get the UMDs. It's just like when they did. Do you remember
the GBA movies?
Yes, that's what I was doing, like the clip cards or whatever they were, where it was like one episode of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl or something, or an episode of SpongeBob, and you had to like slide it into this very so ridiculous.
Yeah, and then there was the argument between, I remember like when the DSi, the DSi came out, and like the thing that frustrated me about that thing was like, it's not backwards compatible with Game Boy Advance. And I'm like, I'm not getting that. Screw that. I'm sticking with my DS Lite because I want to be able to play my Game Boy Advance games there.
See, I knew I wanted a lot of games on the DS, so I've bought all of those iterations. But backwards compatibility, we always want it, but we're not getting it a lot these days.
Unfortunately.
They don't want you to.
They don't. They want you to buy their new expensive editions, their Switch 2 editions, their Gears Resurgence
the actual
edition,
remastered version.
It is
the original.
But it is weird though, going back to what Spencer said, because I remember like back in the day about the Dude Bro stuff. It's like, when I went to like some of my guy friends' places, they had an Xbox and we were playing either Rock Band, they were playing Madden, they were playing Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, or Modern Warfare 2 specifically, or Grand Theft Auto, like or Halo 3.
They had that big, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it might not be the most glamorous niche, right, or whatever, but you have that really solid base, that really good niche. You can still like lean into that for something. I mean, even if we're just talking like market share, right? I remember back when the 360 was out, everybody and their grandma got one because like it was a really cheap movie player, like a DVD player. And it wasn't super complicated to go through all those menus. You put it in, you have the blades, and you go click, play, done. And again, they decided to abandon it and make it all weird and complicated. And I like Matt says in the chat, is this a eulogy for Xbox? I mean, it kind of turned into that, but it's not like we don't want to be giving a eulogy. I think like competition's always better, but they're not. They gotta, like, they have to retire at this point, right? Like they're Joe Bidening it. They don't even know where they are. They're just sort of like saying things off the top of their head. They're just babbling. It's not a good time for Microsoft.
I'm gonna put a tinfoil hat on here, and I gotta wonder if the feminists, because they're in freaking Washington State, I gotta wonder if the feminists came in and like, you can't. That's toxic masculinity. You can't have Dude Bro consoles no more. You have to do it. No, because that's why I'm like, this is a tinfoil hat moment here.
I know, I'm gonna help take that off because remember, like that Dude Bro mentality, that wasn't like how they were advertising it, right? That was just sort of what it fell into. And you can't. Yes, people will always try to say, oh no, you can't, like, try to make it so those people don't like it or whatever. I just don't think that's what happened here. I think what you're seeing is a third party really trying to play catch up with the big kids, but not taking like the time to understand why those kids are so good at what they do or why they are excelling. They're just going, they turned in a project for science class. I turned in a project for science class. Shouldn't we be on the same page? No? Okay. Bye. But yeah, like I guess that's really all I have to say about Xbox. And just a quick let's see if I can find it really quick, because this is sort of on that embarrassing sort of everybody's a little directionless and doesn't really know what they're doing. All right, I sent that over in the where's our window? Just a quick link to look at. So on the note about, like, you know, Microsoft and their mascots or whatever, obviously we've all been gravitating back to Master Chief. And as we all know, he came out of Bungie. And this is, you know, I don't even think that if Bungie stuck, this is sort of what I'm saying, right? Halo was sort of a flash in the pan. I don't even think if Bungie would have stuck around, they could have saved Microsoft's direction or what they're doing, because this is where we're at right now with Bungie, with Destiny 2. Now, if you guys remember, quick recap, they closed out, you know, they did Halo 1 through Reach, closed out after Reach, said, we're out of here, we're going to go independent. They went independent, made Destiny 1, which is kind of, at least personally, a disappointment, because it was like, oh, okay, you get a looter shooter after you guys just did a shooter. All right, sure, why not? And never really liked the Destiny stuff, but they did Destiny. Halo kept going on under Microsoft and 343, and they've all been pretty terrible. Then Bungie did Destiny 2, and then a little last year they got acquired by Sony as like a full like couple $100 million or $1 billion buyout. I don't know, it was a big number, but they're fully owned by Sony now. And so yesterday or Monday or something, they announced that, guess what, guys? You are finally going to get your first like IP crossover set for Destiny 2, and it's Star Wars themed. I literally couldn't feel less excited about any of this, right? Like, this just feels mad desperate from everybody, from Sony saying we need players to get in here, from Bungie saying what do we do with Destiny now, from Disney saying what do we do with Star Wars. It's so I sadly there are seal clappers I've seen on Twitter who are going to consume, but I was just like, this doesn't feel good. Like, this feels really sad. Like, do I need to take you to a facility, Bungie, or whatever? Do we need to get you some help? Like, this ain't great.
Well, this explains this collaboration that Sakuramita brought to my attention here a couple days ago, that Hasbro will be extending their long-running strategic relationship with Disney consumer products for premier Star Wars and Marvel franchises. So, well, they teamed up with them to do Power Rangers.
Yeah.
So, and they have Playmates making that. So I had to wonder, like, why would Disney take up Power Rangers? Oh, okay. So they have a deal on the other side with the toy maker to make Star Wars toys, which are equally as dead on the shelves as Power Rangers.
Well,
isn't Hasbro making Star Wars? And I know they're making Marvel Legends, but I think
they're
Hasbro's
continuing.
making Star Wars too.
Yeah,
it says right here they're continuing it. They're extending their relationship. So.
That's where, like, so there's one specific word here that I think we should all focus on, and that is the where was it? Consumer products for premier, like Star Wars and Marvel franchises, right? To me, and again, this is sort of like what we were talking about. It's just us reading into it without official guidance, but I know that the one or two sellers that Hasbro still really like moves are those Legends toys, Nerdigans, and then the Star Wars Black series. But in recent years, as Cider noted, they had, like, obviously toy sales for all this stuff have gone down because the franchises have gone to shit and nobody really wants any. Do you really want a full Eternal set? I don't really think so. If you do, you can go find it at Ollie's right now. But so over the past few years, they've been slowly sort of moving their release, like, not schedule, but method, whatever, to two things. Like, they've been doing a lot more exclusives now, right? So, like, on at 10 a.m. this one's going up at Target, which obviously will always fuel people to buy it, especially the collectors. But then they also print them in smaller batches. But then they've really started pushing onto the crowdfunding thing, right? Because they have their own Hasbro Pulse, I believe it's called, where they will put up various toys and say, like, hey, if you like this, pledge a crowd fund to it, and if we get enough money, we will manufacture it. And I know those still sell because, again, there are still those consumers, and there's still the people who want to fill out their Black collection or whatever. So that's what this reads to me, is like, we are keeping this going because it is the only one of the few profitable things for us here at Hasbro.
Well,
but I don't think they're going to make like the card figures or whatever.
No. This is again another one of those moves that involves more saving face than really anything else. So speaking of Hasbro,
oh no, keep going.
What's that?
I was going to bring up a Star Wars point, but I'd much rather go Hasbro.
Oh, say, yeah, I said a word. Here we go. Voltron has apparently finished its proprietary filming. Now, this does not mean the CGI filming. This does not mean all that jazz, but basically everything that involves people in costume doing things, wrapped up filming in Australia, which where the proprietary filming was done back at the end of April here. It slipped through our radar. So apparently that was really quick. So I don't expect a lot of like live action people doing things in the Voltron movie. So hopefully this means a lot of lions and a lot of giant robot action.
I mean, I hope so. I feel they probably shot a lot of footage inside of a cockpit, which is probably why this, went so fast. But even aside from all of that, Cider, you're not like, Cider says it slipped through our radar. I would say that's an understatement. I legitimately didn't know there was any movement outside of like Henry's on. That was the last I remember hearing about Voltron. And then Cider sent this to me earlier today and was like, hey, by the way, it's done. And I went, what? How does that even happen? It's only been like 4 months. So I don't know if that will reflect on quality. I mean, even if it's just as low or high quality, whichever word you want to use, as a Toku production, that would be fantastic. So I genuinely don't know what to think about this project. Like,
let me throw this one at you, Spencer.
Yeah, hit me, please.
What if it's easier to make a movie when you're not making 20 different scenes that are never going to find it into the final cut if the editors decide to slide them in and if they want? Maybe it's easier to make a movie that way. You just film it once and they go, hey, that didn't suck. Let's just do that.
You know what? There's that. And then if you, it's almost like if you have a very established piece of source material, you can just look at that and go, that's where we're taking our direction and story from. We don't need to do a lot of redrafting and rewriting. I think you might be onto something. I think maybe this could be a sleeper hit. I have no idea. With Amazon, it is genuinely always a toss-up. You get some cool things like Invincible is cool. What was that? Oh, The Samaritan with Sylvester Stallone. That was a fun movie. The Reacher series is pretty fun. I know my parents like that Jack Ryan one with the dude from The Office. That Peripheral show was good. But then it's like, on the other hand, we get things like the later seasons of The Boys or what was that time travel movie? That's Netflix. If this had the Netflix name on it, I would be way more like, oh, this is bad. But with Amazon, yeah, you have
that
the
one
Boys,
good
all of this stuff.
Level Up episode,
Oh yeah, that was Amazon. There you go. Yeah, Level Up was Amazon.
That one good episode.
And then like that really bad Chris Pratt time travel movie. With them, it is always a coin flip or Rings of Power.
We have Matt saying I miss sleeper hits, and I'm just gonna say that Voltron will probably be the sleeper hit. And a lot of people in the alphas and zoomers have no idea what a Voltron is. They had a brief run with it in the Netflix series that ran for about 4 years, and then that was just kind of tossed to the wind, never referenced again. Gone.
I think they kind of had to, because remember, Cider, that was one of those She-Ra, Steven Universe, like Tumblr ship ground zeros. Like
it had that fan base. You're right.
I think after whoever owns the rights to Voltron saw that, they went, all right, we're good with that.
Draw that down.
We're gonna be quiet for a little bit, and then we're gonna do something else later. Like, yeah, draw it down is probably the best term.
Paired with our limitation in penetrating the marketing sphere, like right now, because of ad blockers, you can't reach people. There's no way. You have to get people. You have to get people like us and the Fellowship and other people pissed off to talk about the product in order for that to happen. And Voltron has not done anything. We have not gotten any leaks from the sets. We've not gotten
No.
any like Henry Cavill is a tyrant on set. None of that. We've got none of that. Like this happened. They did their job and went home. Like there's nobody died. Nobody got crushed by a Voltron prop.
Maybe
nobody got
that's
stabbed.
maybe that's where we're stuck. Is like this doesn't happen anymore. Like
a movie just happens, you know?
Right. We're all used to the like Brave New Worlds where there's 500 pushbacks and 7 recastings and 9 reshoots.
And Brie Larson comes out to shoot her mouth off about it every other week, you know?
Not her. She's been gone. Like
it's right. Like Voltron, she's been gone.
She has been gone. But like I'm hopeful. I get, or like I'm open to this. Obviously, wait for the trailer. Thankfully, it'll be on Amazon, so it'll be free whenever it like drops. But we'll see. But it's Henry, it's Voltron. You've got the right ingredients. Do you have the right cooks?
All right, so we're gonna 50-50 this with how YouTube takes this.
Yes.
Professor Snape is here, and he asks, is Rita Ora part of this? And yes, she is playing I believe she's playing the princess. I forget her name, the one that wears the pink. And I believe she's playing that one.
But like that's to your point too, right? Cider is like we don't even know who they are or like specifically. Like we can infer that like Keith is gonna be like Henry's gonna be Keith or something, but nobody has come out and said this is who it is. This is what we're doing. They shot, wrapped, and gosh, yeah, they went to work and they went home.
Clever. Exactly. And that, when was the last time, I think like when was the last time that you ever had a movie that were like the cast didn't self-destruct, there wasn't a death on set, there weren't leaks out the wazoo where everything looks awful and people went haywire.
Right.
And I don't imagine that there was like armed guards, like Area 51 patrolling this for any Naruto runners with
there were probably
GoPros.
They probably had the like Amazon security guards with like standing outside of the production being like, hey, are you paparazzi? Do you want a picture of this? We got a Henry Cavill movie going. And they're like, Voltron. No, we're good.
I've never heard of Voltron.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
There's a marble down the street.
Yeah, and that's what it is that this was filmed in Australia too. So there's a good chance that they went out into the middle of the outback, created what they needed to do so they didn't survive. They wouldn't, so they didn't die, excuse me. So they survived and didn't die. And then thus the paparazzi and anybody trying to get pictures of this weren't able to do so. And they were all able to do all the crazy stuff and get it done on schedule. Because there wasn't any Voltron reshoot, set back production for another year.
Yeah.
Writer comes out and admits that they've had to do 5 rewrites. There's been none of that. Like you said, there's just been none of that. And it just, a movie happened, guys. Can you believe it? A movie happened in the world, and there isn't some horrible, catastrophic thing happening. That's why I say it's going to be a sleeper. Because nobody's been able to talk about it.
Yeah.
No, you're gonna hear from your friend like, dude, I saw this Voltron movie, man. How come the Power Rangers don't sue about this? That totally rips off the Power Rangers.
Your dad is gonna watch it on like a Saturday afternoon and be like, hey, Susanu or Richard or Nerdigans, like, you ever heard of this Voltron thing? And like that, I can definitely see it happening, and I hope so. I forget who said it, or Matt said it. We don't have enough of them anymore. Everything has to be that big blowout, huge ass event where if you don't go, you're not in the culture. I don't know. I guess the closest thing we have now is like Sinners, because that thing just kind of came out and is blowing everybody away. But look at like again, just look at the Thunderbolts where they're like, here, Thunderbolts. Oh, New Avengers. Oh, Stitch. It's just, it's so exhausting. I just want to be able to watch a movie, have fun, and go home.
Well, I mean, look at what happened with the Minecraft movie. That was a cultural phenomenon, but that's just, I don't know.
But that also had but counter to what to what Cider's saying, that had a bunch of leaks. It had a bunch of drama around it. It had a
whole first version.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. The entire movie leaked without CGI. Right. You don't get bigger of a leak than that outside of the
really
full
weird.
finished product. It is strange.
So the thing here with this though is that we didn't get that. We didn't get like the Jack Black singing Lava Chicken song on like a matte painting volume background,
right?
And in like a blue t-shirt he found on the rack outside. It's a very strange thing to hear about. And this is the phenomenon of Voltron, I think, is that you're going to find that Voltron arrives Everybody's going to love it for no good golly gosh darn reason, because it's not. Here's what I can tell you. If they didn't have drama on set, that means they weren't talking politics. And if they weren't talking politics, that means they were doing their damn jobs. So
well,
it's
also,
like,
remember, this is also Henry. We know Henry is like a very, let's get this shit done. He doesn't really, what was it? The Witcher, right? Was that the show where they
protested the horse?
Well, yes, that. But I was also I was referring to, wasn't that the show or the production that had the Whisper campaign where they were like, he's an incel tyrant and he's an asshole on set because he wants us to do our jobs and like stay to the source material. And I'm like, that just sounds like somebody who knows what he wants to do. I mean, look at, I mean, this is going to be a very hyperbolic comparison, but look at directors like a Christian Bale, right? Or a George Miller down for the Mad Max things. When they go in, or the filming time for their films, yes, it's longer than it used to be, but it's still, compared to most Hollywood things, pretty tight, because they know what they're doing. They have control over the production, and they go, this is what we're doing. Either put up or shut up. And I kind of have to imagine that's what is happening over here.
I mean, like, Hollywood's a big ship to turn around. So all of this lollygagging with the politics stuff is, of course, going to play out for a while. And Voltron, being a production in the post-strike, I wouldn't say totally post, like the government supporting DEI initiative kind of stuff. That wasn't part of the decision making with Voltron here or the filming, because they started way back in December, so that had nothing to do with it. But the attitude, I think, was changing, and that's why Voltron went so smoothly. Because before all of Trump's declarations about this control of industry and things like that got out there, Hollywood was already arcing back. Marvel had thoroughly proven that the modern audience was not going to come to the theater no matter what you did, if they existed at all. And so I think Voltron was that step to be like, well, we know who's going to show up to this. And it is not going to be Sally. It is not going to be Jenny. It is probably not going to be the girl gang. They'll come with their boyfriends. There may be a few that have their own separate interests, but by and large, it'll be boys and men that'll be in the theater here. And that probably is why Voltron even exists as a movie right now, is because they sat down and they said, well, the Transformers is pretty threadbare. Power Rangers is pretty threadbare. Well, we got this lion thing over here that Netflix kind of sort of gave up on. Let's try this. And Henry Cavill was like, have I got a deal for you? And we're going to find out that Henry Cavill's like the biggest Voltron fan ever. His basement is just all full of
good. I would not be surprised, but still good. Like if he was, that would make it better, in my opinion, because he would keep it tight.
Well, and I think that's why the filming was so short, just because we're not running around trying to do a bunch of people stuff. We're not doing people stuff. It was these guys are off on this alien world. Because here's what my thing, like, you know what they do with this, Spencer? They get a hold of a property and they go, this is too weird. This is too whimsical.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It's too childish. Let's age it up and mature it. Let's RoboCop it and give it a real hand and see through
always.
loads.
Yep.
You know, and my hope is that they looked at Voltron and they were like, this is cheesy, this is campy, this is children's media. I love it. Let's 110% this. Let's put rainbows out his ass. You know, and that I hope they go full bore, you know, the Voltron defender of the universe, the lions combining, making no sense whatsoever. I'll form the head somehow. He has horns now, somehow.
See,
I love it.
Here's how I imagine it went down in that same, or less, it starts bad, but then it goes, just follow me here. So I imagine that with the boom of anime and all of the, you know, let's license all of these productions, yada, yada. You know, we got the One Piece show. We've got the Naruto movie coming, which I can't wait for because it's going to be awful. I have zero like expectations of that being anything but garbage. But
we also have Bet as well too, which is going to be
we have the category adaptation coming out. So like you've got, obviously there's a boom. Everybody wants to adapt it. And so what I think, to what Cider said, Amazon was probably like, how do we get it on this? What can we do? And, you know, let's look for Japanese properties. And somebody probably went, oh, look at this. Voltron down here on page 30 of the available IPs in Hollywood has no current owner. So they went, oh, let's snag that up for cheap. We got it. And then I bet they started going, oh yeah, they announced it. They say, we're going to do something. Henry he wasn't tagged just for that. He has like an overall Amazon deal, right? Because he's also doing the Warhammer thing. So I kind of imagine that he saw that and he went, let me in on that. Like, let me handle that. Like, I want to do that one. That's sort of how I think it went down. So it kind of came from a bad place of like, let's just cash in. But Henry saw it and went, no, I can do this. Like, we can do this right.
Yeah, it could very well be because again, we're looking at a property that's kind of a blank slate. Yes, Voltron has a lore, but it is children's media, and so it's very malleable. There have
And
been
it also
various reboots of it too.
and that's what I was going to say is like we've never really extended Voltron's lore in any production past the initial like we're fighting against the alien invasion, right? Because like that's where the show ends. Then they reboot it, and then they just like there's been no sequel series or
they had
spin-offs or whatever.
They had the Voltron vehicle force, but that was again an extension of the conflict, kind of like how the Transformers and the Autobots are fighting
That's
forever.
right.
So
That's
whoever
true.
you add to it is the original conflict.
See, you say you remind me of that, and then that makes me go like, oh God, are they gonna do the like Star Wars thing where they only make stories in between like the last episode of Voltron or in the second to last episode, because once you get past that, that's when you have to actually deal with everything.
Because there's only really 3 big Voltron peaks, in my opinion. Like they'll probably get away with 3 movies, and they'll be able to do different things with the robot in order to make that the central like marketing force. That you get the original Voltron in this one, then you get vehicle Voltron in the next one, and you get like the ultimate super duper ultra lightning powered Defender of the Universe Deluxe Voltron.
Which is like which is what worries me so much, because yes, the Voltron design, peak, classic, easy. The V-Force, fine for what it is, but I can see them, translating to live action easier because they're vehicles. But like, when does the West ever do good mecha? Like, they don't. Pacific Rim was probably it. And but that was also like Guillermo del Toro straight up said, like, I looked at anime. Like, that was this was supposed to be
They can't take
anime.
it seriously. That's the problem.
Well,
they
there's
can't take it
Transformers
seriously.
too. Michael Bay did okay with Transformers, to be fair.
But even then, it speaks, like, that's a good example, because it speaks to what Cider and I were saying about like the fantasticalness of it. Is you still had really weird, like, you had all the human stuff, which was obnoxious, but a lot of those robots, they didn't want to take them seriously. So we got, John Goodman playing the generic old soldier stereotype. We had those 2 weird racist, like snaggletooth bots in Edge of, or in Darkness,
and then the Wreckers, which were like the most pointless addition to the Transformers.
They weren't pointless. They gave us floating Transformers testicles, right?
There we go.
But
right,
that's the sort of thing, though, Nerdigans, is like, there is a certain level that normies will accept without going eyebrow raise, right? And it has to stay very, very close to reality. Like, it, to use the word we're using, it has to be less fantastical. So you look at something like The Boys, right, where they have superpowers. Their costumes aren't hyper flashy. I'd say probably Starlight's was like the flashiest comic book one. Their what they deal with is not alien threats or world invaders or demons. It's just other superpowered people. So you're essentially just looking at a human drama. Or you go to Transformers and you go, okay, it's a transforming robot that goes from car to robot. That like one step is very easy for a lot of people to accept. The second you start doing things like, here's the matrix of leadership, the second you start doing things like, here's Energon, that's when everybody starts going, oh, this is a weird fake baby gay thing. That's what's really weird. And I don't like that. I don't think any of us like that, but it does happen.
Now, maybe they learned their lesson, but I don't know. Voltron
I could only hope.
Voltron's going to be a test in if they have learned anything since the Sakura Mita thinks it's going to flop like the 2017 Power Rangers movie. It's got a good chance.
Oh no! I don't think that. remember
If
that
they screw up
movie
the
is
robot, they'll absolutely kill it. If they screw up the robot at all, if they don't go
Oh, yeah.
1-to-1 80s Voltron, people will be pissed.
like a lot of American productions will do. They like doing bio robots. You know what I mean? Like the we
It's
looked
got
at it a
muscle
couple weeks
strands and
ago.
stuff.
Yeah, muscle strands. They have a more like human like flexible build, if you will. Like we looked at it a couple weeks ago, the Boom Studios original Zords that they had, where they like combined like the Dragon Zord. They looked really, really bad. They were just sheets of like metal slatted on each other, and to make them be able to move like humans, right? And no, we don't. I don't know. Like that is what I don't want. I want my big bulky robot. Okay, this just like came to me. This links right back to what you and I were saying what we were joking about last week, right? Gundam. In Gundam, you have, your RX-78s, your unicorns, all this stuff, and they are backflipping with their jets, obviously, in the 360 space. They're battling their swords. They're throwing their shield that way, shooting it, flying over here and gripping it back in. They're like holding civilians and like blocking them. And yet it is only controlled by 2 forward and back joysticks, right? We accept that because we know it's fantastical and we're playing into it and we like that about it. We let our imaginations fill it in. I know that if they tried to do that in live action, which they might with the movie if it ever actually happens, but they're going to make it, they're either going to do the Pacific Rim thing, Cider, where they replace the controls with like actual like bodysuits, or they're going to like hyper complicate everything. And that just sort of makes it less fantastic. I don't want my mecha cockpit looking like a plane, man. Like that, I get that that's how it would probably look in real life, and I know that everything in that cockpit is important, but I don't know. I just want to see the guy get in and go.
I honestly think what they're going to do with Voltron is they're going to give them pegs to hold on to in the cockpit that combine their consciousness, and that'll be their excuse for how they get the robot to move around and do things, so they don't have to show the characters moving the joysticks and trying to explain, yes, jerking the joystick back 30% made it do a backflip and a roundhouse kick.
Okay, so I think you're onto something, but I don't think it'll be pegs, because I think that's too remember in Power, it's Power Rangers where they did like the crystals and then they like put them in and then they all just sort of stood there while Jason was like in the pilot seat. Actually exactly. Controlling the robot with his just wishes, I guess. So I don't think they'll do like pegs, but I think they'll do, now that you brought it up, I think that's what they'll do, but they'll do one of those weird like we all sit in a system of like 5 chairs, and like we all like go into like cryo sleep or whatever, and that's where our conscious, like, I have no idea what I'm like trying to describe, but imagine the opening scene of Alien where they're all in the pods and they have to like go in that to link up. I actually am very fearful that is what it'll be.
I can see like a Voltron Matrix being their thing, and they have to do the drift from Pacific Rim. I mean, again, they're trying to get around. They're trying to get around the fantastical element of people just winning a fight. And they did. It's too much to just have them do it. It's like I tell people today, they could not do Flash Gordon, either version. The one where he's a high schooler or
Chuck Norris.
Couldn't do it.
They wouldn't be able to do Chuck Norris either.
It would have been considered a hate crime. He roundhouse kicks an Asian man every 15 minutes. So
look, that Asian man.
Hold on a second.
Let's be real.
Well, let's be real. Asians are not considered a minority. They're white adjacent.
That's right. We are. I don't know. That's the only joke I had for that. I don't really have a follow up for it.
I thought she was going to say, "Let's be real, Asians are really kickable," and I was like, "Oh no."
I was going to say, I thought she was going to go, "Let's be real, Asians aren't humans," and I was going to be like, "All right, you know what? I can get behind that."
So that's the thing, though, is that like they can't allow these things, like Metabots will never be done. So why they get tripped up on Naruto when Japan's just like, get a guy in some fancy cosplay and we'll stick some CGI on him and kick around. It'll be great. And people go, this is great. This is exactly what I wanted. And they have a great time.
It's actually, so the bringing up Flash Gordon really helps support what I was about to say, but it's like, Yeah, so like Hollywood and all these executives, they think that the fantastical will turn people away, that people will look at it and go, oh, never mind, I thought this was just about cars, like robots fighting. I didn't know it was car alien robots fighting. But here's the thing, from Flash Gordon back in like the 50s 60s, whenever that serial was happening, to the Batman Adam West show that was on, to the MCU nowadays, right, to Star Wars, it is very, very factually proven that if you invite the audience in and you immerse them, it doesn't sort of matter what genre or what you're doing, right? Because people will come out to see it. Before everything went like super, super, super downhill, we had 3 movies about a guy just flying around in a metal suit that he made in a cave, and that was okay. And yeah, exactly, accepted. You didn't have to sit there and go, oh, how did Tony get the tools? How was nobody watching? You didn't have to get into that, because it was just sort of, we accept it, we suspend our disbelief, and let's go. And that's why you don't need to. There are some things, like, I will admit this as somebody who loves video games, anime, comic books. There are some times where I would understand if you were like, that might be a little too over the top. Let's either, curve it or change it. For example, in DC, there is an item called the Miracle Box, which is literally, it exists in between dimensions on the edges of every passing thought every human has. And if you can find it and if you can use it and whistle at a very specific frequency, it will grant you for 1 second the ability to do anything, any wish you want. It will be fulfilled right then and there, but it will also collapse if the user doesn't specifically know what they want to use the machine for. That was complicated, guys. I know. So I know that if you were going to do like a Final Crisis movie, you would probably do best to maybe you take away that part about it being on the drifting of minds, right? But yes, there are some limiters. I get it, but you don't have to make everybody. I think we have moved away from this, but you guys are going to know exactly what I'm talking about. There was that trend in the 2010, probably 2010 to 2020, where everybody was obsessed with we got to show all the superheroes just being civilians, right? We got to just show them hanging out at the coffee shop AU. That is not, we don't need to go that hard. You can still have costumes, and Superman and Lois went for 3 seasons on the CW. The Flash went for 9, and you don't get there just on the backs of comic dorks like us. You have to have a wide, giant audience of people. It's sort of the exact same argument, which always makes me laugh. Andy Muschietti, if you guys remember, the director of The Flash, a couple months after the movie came out, he was on a podcast and they were like, yo, so what do you think? Now that we're a few months out, what's your postmortem on The Flash? What happened there? And he went, I don't know, man. I think people just don't like the concept of The Flash, especially women. And it's like, no, 9 seasons, my guy, 9 seasons. It's Hollywood has always been disconnected, but I think in this internet age, they've just gotten even more disconnected.
It's not only that, it's that we're dealing with 2 different schools of thought now.
That is true.
The disconnect is obvious. We've had it forever. The studio execs are always too old. They have to be drug around. But what we're dealing with more is just 2 different cultures involved in Hollywood. There's a culture that wants to produce art, and there's a culture that wants to weaponize art for whatever reason, for money, for agenda, for power, whatever it is. And it would appear that the artistic side is starting to grow again. That after the chaos of the strikes, and now that the political arena is taking people's attention off of Hollywood itself and back onto DC. So, at least until this tariff thing was announced. But with that being away, the artistic side appears to be on the rise, but I can't guarantee it. Either way, Voltron will be a good example of this turning of the ship that I was talking about earlier, because it definitely feels like that attempt to say, by the way, we got it. You guys aren't interested in pitching to the modern audience. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn that back down to 10 out of 100. And we're going to try that. We're going to be 10% modern audience and 90% everybody else. We're going to see how that goes. Because I can't see how you stick woke into Voltron with the cast that they chose. I don't see it.
Yeah, where we're at now, it is very hard to see it forcefully put in there. I agree with that.
There isn't like, no, we're making sure everybody is from Wakanda. You know, there's none of
Right,
that.
right. There's none of that.
Transgender actor involved with this. There's nobody that's an outright political firebrand that's in the middle of this.
To me, having a transgender actor is not a political statement, but I know what you mean. Like, there's no
That's right.
overtly
I'm thinking of the Cowboy Bebop side of this. That's what I'm thinking of. Where they distorted the character to promote
that is different.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, I think I also think like you're on point, and I think the other like small, or maybe not small, but also playing a role is like, as much as we all do mock, you know, general audiences, I think they are not all far gone, because we have seen them give up on, you know, brand and franchise move, in the sense that like no longer are audiences going like, oh, Disney movie, I'm going, or oh, Marvel movie, gotta go. Like, everybody's being very, or maybe not selective, but more or
wary and cautious.
Yeah, wary, cautious, selective is probably still the right word. But yeah, like the Snow White failure, right? Yes, we all like Rachel Zegler was making a complete fool of herself, and we were all on it, and it was obviously causing, you know, backlash to her, and it definitely had an effect on the box office. But you don't get that bad of an effect on the box office unless everybody else has also checked out for whatever reason, whether they're just tired of it, tired of your politics, tired of knowing that we're just going to get subpar crap. And hopefully that, you know, it's always going to be a cycle, it's always going to be a pendulum. We're going to get the rise back of artistic stuff, and then somebody will try to franchise that out, and it'll work once, and then all the execs will go, okay, now it's time to do, I don't know, the Doctor Who cinematic universe in 15 years. But at the very least, we can hopefully look forward to like at least like 2 or 3 years where things will go into production that will at least be quality. So always chin up everyone.
Well, and on that note, we are at the end of the show.
Look at that. Wow. And we're not like 400 years over this week.
How about that? Miss Nerdigans, when the show is over, where do we find you?
You can find me on Nerdigans Inc. on YouTube, where we cover anime and manga every day. And after this, I am going to be recording the latest One Piece manga chapter. But on Patreon, patreon.com/packergirl, I am covering anime, and it's starting to feel like torture because this season
Why is that?
Because the anime this season is very, very disjointed.
In what
it's
sense?
very
What do you mean?
frustrating. In terms of like the storyboarding, like it's jumping from like one chapter to the next, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't.
I was just wondering. I had no idea what you meant. So yeah.
Well,
no,
but it doesn't. Like, I don't mind if like order of even though I'm a purist, like if there's some changes where like the order of events is like changed, it's very cohesive. And with like Ranger Reject and Fire Force in particular, it is so disjointed that it's just like it's very frustrating to watch. And in the case of Fire Force, what I've heard is like some of the animators from the first 2 seasons are gone. And yeah, it's very obvious. And even Anime News Network's reviewer said that, yeah, the magic that was in the first 2 seasons is not there. Yeah, I have to agree with them on that. Ranger Reject,
that's so sad.
Ranger Reject is just very frustrating because the Dreamy School arc is like one of my favorite arcs in the manga, and to see it adapted this way is really
it's okay. You know what they're gonna do? They're gonna adapt it this way, and then in 2 years they're gonna go, guess what? Compilation movie time, and then you get to go pay extra to go watch the compilation movie.
God, I just hope that that Chidori's transformation sequence is good. If it is ass, I will hate life, because that's
so far the transformation sequences have been good, but I understand where the apprehension is coming from, and it's very like understandable.
Because Magadia looks awful. Oh my god, he looks so bad. Oh my god. But anyways, the other series, Witch Watch, it was beautiful. Like this week's Witch Watch, if you watch the first part of it with the otaku scene, you know, where she finds out that her favorite fan fiction artist is really her student, and she is going on this tangent. That sequence is beautifully animated. The voice acting is great. The soundtrack is great. You will enjoy it. But like after that, it just goes downhill, and that really is a shame. Vigilant, and we're also covering. Sorry, I'm just going on a tangent.
No.
Oh my God.
I asked. It's okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
and it's
we're
your
also
show too. You can talk about whatever you want.
We're also covering Vigilante Boku no Hero Academia Illegals, which has been very, very mixed. There was a really beautiful scene this past week, but there's a lot of comedy that's been cut out, which is very, very frustrating. You have no idea.
You have to make sure all the normies know you take this seriously, which that doesn't apply here. It's Japan. I'm just being pedantic.
I know. It gets frustrating when like anime takes itself too seriously. It happened with Sailor Moon Crystal. It's happening. Oh God, all the comedy being cut out just is very, very annoying. But anyways, besides that, you can follow me on Twitter, which is right here. And we're covering everything. We're covering all the stuff with tariffs. We're exposing a lot of tourists right now in both the anime and gaming sphere. On the bounding side of things, we have an article waiting to go up. And speaking of the tourists, on one side of the anime sphere, there may be one I gotta propose to you on this, Spencer, in regards to
of course,
the trans activists coming after Tsubaki, the cross-dressing character in Windbreaker.
Oh, of course they are.
And I have the interview from the mangaka that says specifically he is a feminine man. So
there you go. You got you blah, 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 blah. You're good to roll. Go for it. Yeah.
All right. So expect that article. I just got to go through the tweets and see if there's any more for that because the new article is out. Also, something else that we've been doing is going and torturing myself doing this. Is going through some of the dubs. We've gone through Windbreaker, we've gone through Witch Watch, and I think those are the main ones we've gone through. And God, it is just bad. I don't know how people are watching these dubs. I don't know. There are some very cringy crap.
Well, according to the Crunchyroll CEO, that's the most popular way to watch anime, unfortunately, is dubbed.
All right.
I don't understand, but yeah, just stay tuned. We'll have our stuff up as soon as possible.
All right, Spencer. When the show is over, where do we find you?
Yeah, as always, guys, you can find me on boundingintocomics.com where we're putting up new news every day. Aside from that, you can catch us right back here, same bat time, same bat channel next week for another episode of the 01 Show, where we'll break down everything that's going on from anime to movies to really bad video game decisions. But until then, take it easy, everyone. Have a good week. Go subscribe to Nerdigans. Go subscribe to Cider, and also listen to what Cider has to say. And that's all I've got.
Yeah, what Spencer said.
This doesn't feel the same. I sat down to rewatch that Archer in Green, but something felt off like a scene swept clean. No call to rise up, no fight against the crown, just some hollow action and glossed up renown.
He once spoke fire about kings and chains. Now it's gone like it never came. He used to say no king.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
Now it's a blank cut scene.
What's been deleted now? What's been deleted now? Why does it feel so tame? The rebel's voice is down, erased without a name. What's been deleted now? Did someone shift the frame? They say it's just a cut, but it don't feel the same. I searched for the speech where he vowed to stand against all the tyrants and take back the land. But streamers go quiet and edits slip through. Sanitized history